What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 3HW Chapter 71 Departure, all parties are surging, 9th update, please order first. The country of fire, which has always been against the country of water. 3rd Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, also summoned Sannin to the Hokage office at this moment. Recently, the country of water seems to be in a commotion because of an island lord's rebellion. Sarutobi Hiruzen crossed his hands and propped his head up, looking at the three blades in front of him and said, "Why, are we going to take the opportunity to fight the country of water?" When Orochimaru heard Sarutobi Hiruzen's words, he immediately became interested, and even said something eager to try. No, Sarutobi Hiruzen shook his head. Now the other three countries are staring at us, we can't act rashly at this time, so I plan to let you go to the country of water. If you meet the high-level officials of the country of water, you can take the opportunity. Sarutobi Hiruzen paused and continued, then made a gesture with his right hand around his neck. "Can I refuse?" The other two nodded, but Tsunade hesitated, raised his head, and asked Sarutobi Hiruzen seriously. As soon as Tsunade said this, the scene suddenly fell into silence. All three of them knew that Tsunade had not come out of the shadow of World War II. "I'll just go by myself. If Sannin suddenly leaves, it may cause unnecessary trouble." Orochimaru waved his hand and said suddenly, "You alone?" Advertisement. Sarutobi Hiruzen froze for a moment, then gave Orochimaru a deep look. "Okay, you go, but you have to be careful." Finally, Sarutobi Hiruzen nodded, finished speaking, and stopped talking. Sannin looked at each other and left the office. The Lord of the Land of Water. After walking out of Hokage's office, Orochimaru separated from Jiraiya and Tsunade, touched the blue buyu earrings on his ears, and said to himself with interest. At the same time, in Cloud Shinobi Village, the land of thunder across the sea from the land of water. 3rd Hokage called Jonin from Ryan Village in the office. However, compared to Konoha, who only sent Orochimaru, 3rd Hokage sent 5 elite Jonin directly. Although the civil war in the land of water is imminent, no matter whether it is the land of Konoha or the land of thunder, they dare not send out the army. The Fire Nation is afraid that dispatching its own troops will attract the simultaneous attack of the other three countries. Similarly, if the troops of any of the other three countries go to the Water Nation, then the Fire Nation will not give up the opportunity to attack. Time passed quickly. Akira Yagayu's army has been assembled, except the marine stationed outside the country. Akira Yagayu now has 100,000 well-equipped marines, 33 heavy warships, and 50 pacifists, 10 cruisers. Such a sea power, even for any country at sea, is unimaginable. "Your Highness," Marine Rear Admiral Sicily came to Akira Yagayu. "How is it, Sicily? How is Momo Guo familiar?" Akira Yagayu looked at the marine sharpshooter in front of him. This guy was the only one who had cultivated observation haki among the 3 rear admirals he owned. "Reporting to your Highness, I am now completely familiar with the abilities of Momo Fruit." Sicily immediately reported to Akira Yagayu. Advertisement. Akira Yagayu nodded, came to the port, and looked at the neatly arranged warships outside. The solemn and majestic aura shrouded the entire Kaden Island. Countless people walked out of the house and all rushed to the port, watching the mighty marine team. They were all excited. "Set off." Akira Yagayu didn't say much, his voice was very soft, and he didn't even say a word of morale. This is the trust in them. I believe they will never lose, but it is this absolute trust that makes all Marines extremely excited. "Yes." Hearing Akira Yagayu's order, all the Marines responded, and the solemn military discipline of this team could be heard in no corner of Kaden Island. Dozens of warships left one after another, and the island of Kaden suddenly loosened. The people looked at the port that had suddenly become empty and felt a little empty, but they were still excited because they were fighting the country of water. If they win, then they will no longer be tormented by war. The warships of the country of water also departed one after another. The warships of the country of water are different from Akira Yagayu's warships. They are all wooden building ships. Thousands of warships were sent out in a staggered manner at sea, which looked extremely spectacular. On the cliff in the distance, Chiba Kai looked at the departing battleship, took out the phone wobbly, reported the news to Akira Yagayu, and then slumped on the ground, silently hoping that Akira Yagayu would create a miracle. He didn't want to suffer the inhuman pain that he had before. At the same time, the ninjas of Kirigakure also received the news that the messenger bird brought 987. The army of Carden Island has left the harbor, and all of them have been dispatched to sneak into Carden Island to capture the other side's military technology. After reading the letter, Shing immediately said that there were 15 Jonin, 90 special Jonin, and thousands of Chunin, Wei Yoriichi clan, Ghost Lamp clan, Snow clan and other clan ninjas who had fought against Akira Yagayu before. In the column, on the surface, it can be said that the entire power of the entire Kirigakure and the various ninja clans. 3 pursued ships, carrying more than 1,000 ninjas from the Water Kingdom, departed from the main island of the Water Kingdom, and quickly circled from the south to the waters of the Kingdom of Stars. The multi-meter-high spray quickly opened to Carden Island. "His Royal Highness, the spies in the city have been dealt with. I believe it won't be long before the ninjas of Kirigakure can wait to come over and seize the secrets of Carden Island." In the marine base building, Crane came to Akira Yagayu's side and said with a chuckle, although he knew that Kirigakure would deploy a strong force to attack Kaden Island, he didn't worry too much. Everything Kirigakure did seems to be counted by Akira Yagyu and Suru. Chapter 72 Kilometer Level, Super Large Sea Kings. Trigger the main quest. Chaos in the Kingdom of Heaven. Mission requirements. Successfully defeat the army of the Land of Water, successfully destroy the Kirigakure, and seize control of the Land of Water. Task rewards. Random Marine Admiral Designated Recruitment Order 1, Advanced World Recruitment Order 1, Number of Random Draws 1, Marine 6 Styles Package. Intermediate, *1, Conqueror's Hokage Advanced Package 1. As soon as the crane's voice fell, Akira Yagyu was suddenly attracted by the system's prompt sound. Random Admiral Designated Recruitment Order? That is to say, a recruitment order for a Marine Admiral at random? A strange color flashed in Akira Yagyu's eyes. No one who has seen One Piece would not yearn for Marine's Admiral, and Akira Yagyu has always felt a little regret because his subordinates failed to recruit Admiral. The country will have one. What made Akira Yagyu even more excited was that Conqueror's Hokage's advanced package, not to mention that he could release Conqueror's Hokage at will after he advanced to the intermediate level. But the intermediate observation Hokage can perceive the thoughts of the weak people of observation Hokage. As for Marine 6 Styles, what Akira Yagyu values more is that after mastering Marine 6 Styles, because of the ability to return life after mastering the body, this is definitely a big bug that can perfectly develop the functions of the body. At this moment, more than 1,000 warships were confronting more than 30 warships from Carton Island on the sea that was less than 300 kilometers away from the main island of the Kingdom of Water. I'm not mistaken, the opponent only has 30 warships, although it is very large, it is too bad. Through the observation mirror, the soldiers of the Land of Water who were urgently recruited all had strange expressions on their faces, and even almost laughed out loud. Although those heavy armies have several times the length of their battleships, compared with the huge number of battleships in the Land of Water, there is a huge difference. 30 people face more than 1,000, which is like ants shaking a tree. Indeed, there are only more than 30 ships. The Lord of Carton Island is also very powerful. He was able to get more than 30 warships of this size. No wonder he was able to quickly conquer so many countries against each other. Some other generals who knew the reason for the incident also felt amused when they looked at the 30 or so warships in front of them. Don't talk about it, get close, and sink them as soon as possible. It made me nervous. It's actually just a few small boats. Looking at the warships from Carton Island, the nervous generals of the Land of Water quickly relaxed, and the wooden warships began to approach quickly and slowly approached the front. What's more, the ships were tightly connected together, intending to humiliate Marine on Carton Island. Report to the general, the local warship has entered the attack range of our artillery. Advertisement. As the battleships of the Land of Water approached, the reports of the more than 30 battleships on Carton Island also sounded one after another. Fire! 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 At the same time, countless command orders also sounded on the decks of the Marine warships. All the warships turned their hulls and aimed their gun holes at the ships of the Land of Water that were rushing in front. Boom! 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 Countless artillery fire erupted from the gun holes on the more than 30 warships in an instant, and the overwhelming shells shot at those ships. It's the artillery, damn it! Get out of the way! Their artillery can hit us, get out of the way, damn it, who made you stay so close? Seeing the thousands of shells coming from the sky and covering the sky, the commanders who were supposed to treat laughter immediately roared in horror, and the countless shouts caused chaos on the ship. The ships were shaking wildly, trying to disperse as soon as possible, but the shells had already fallen. Boom! 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 It's on fire! Damn, the cabin is leaking. No, the ship is sinking. In Jiangxi, the red Hanabi suddenly lit up on countless ships, and countless people howled in horror on the deck, including many warriors who were burning with flames and wailing frantically. Advertisement. Other ships that were not affected by the surrounding area quickly approached the warships on Carton Island, and wanted to bring the warships on Carton Island into the attack range as soon as possible. However, they had just driven out not far, and suddenly the water surface fluctuated, and the ship they were driving also swayed quickly. Under the sea. What's under the sea? The samurai on the ship clinging to the guardrail on the deck, watching the sea below continue to churning out, immediately said in horror. In other places, there are also Uzumaki undercurrents that directly form, and large ships dozens of meters long are rotated and sucked into the Uzumaki and submerged into the sea. What happened? The group of people was extremely frightened, and the generals of the water country all had extremely ugly expressions. Could it be that the sea gods are really helping Carton Island? However, they didn't think so anymore. They saw giant beasts floating up from the sea, and hundreds of ships were overturned by the currents brought by those giant beasts and swept into the sea. More than a dozen towering beasts rose from the sea completely, and the warriors on the remaining hundreds of ships of the Land of Water were stunned. Everyone stared blankly at the dozens of giant beasts hundreds of meters high that suddenly appeared in front of them. Boom! 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 Nanos, one of the battleships used an artillery attack on a giant beast, and a cannonball exploded on the huge alien beast, but the alien beast could not be reached at all. On the contrary, the giant beast, which looked like a sea lion, was provoked, and it was photographed with one paw. The two battleships that were relatively close were immediately smashed, and the countless warriors on board sank into the sea along with the shattered hulls. What shall we do? The warriors all looked at those giant beasts in horror, each in despair, each paw, and these warships were not enough for these giant beasts to scratch. Damn it, where have all the Kirigakure ninjas gone? Looking at those giant beasts, the generals of the Land of Water were inevitably a little desperate, and some people gritted their teeth and cursed angrily. At that time, it was promised that ninjas would accompany them, but now they have not seen half of the ninjas. Chapter 73, Auto-Generated Chapter Title, 73rd Cover Bombing. Inside the Marine Base office on Kaden Island, Akira Yagyu also received good news about the naval operations. I was underestimated, and I didn't even send ninjas. Would the Land of Water think that thousands of warships could defeat my sea power? Akira Yagyu touched his nose after hanging up, then said with a chuckle. Next to him, the crane also had a smile on his face. Akira Yagyu arranged more means than he imagined. If it wasn't for the completion of the previous studies, he would not have known that Akira Yagyu had prepared more than 10 alien beasts comparable to giant sea kings. Those sea beasts of the Marine Vice Admiral level can be dealt with, but for those ordinary samurai who only have artillery, it is simply despair. Report, Your Highness, in the direction of the Star Country in the southwest, there are 3 ships coming to Carden Island at a speed of over 100 kilometers per hour. From the Marine Reconnaissance Information Command Center, news came to Akira Yagyu right away. It appears that it's the ninjas, and the nearby submarines are ready for OOO torpedo interception. Akira Yagyu immediately guessed who was on the 3 ships and arranged it directly. Clear. The Information Command Center hung up the phone bug, and immediately dialed the phone bug on the submarine patrolling the southwest waters, and immediately released Akira Yagyu's request. At the same time, 10 submarines quickly turned around and moved to the southwest of Carden Island. It's almost here, and the island of Carden is in front of us. Let's speed up and take off the defense force of Carden Island, and then we will outflank those troops that wiped out Carden Island as soon as possible. Among all the people dispatched by Kirigakure this time, they are led by the Oni Lantern clan of the 2nd Mizukage's Ghost Lantern Genue clan. Everyone knows that the Ghost Lantern clan is the one that has the most contact with the powerhouses in Carden Island, and it is also the one that brings back the most information, so if there is a Ghost Lantern clan, you should know how to fight against those guys. Everyone looked at the front in silence. Although they came to Kaden Island for the first time, they had already spread among the ninjas of the Water Country, AFBD, and the army of Kaden Island seemed to be a nightmare for ninjas. Up to now, thousands of ninjas of all levels have died in the hands of the Kaden Island army and the strong. Although most of them are genin, there are indeed so many ninjas. Advertisement more importantly, most of those ninjas came from various ninja families, which directly caused those ninja families to suffer heavy losses and became low-level families of Kirigakure. Just as everyone was silent, 3 marine submarines also found the traces of these 3 chasing ships. What, same. A succession of 6 torpedoes flew out from the mouth below the submarine and charged towards Kirigakure's pursuit ship under the sea. Boom. Boom. Of the 6 torpedoes, 2 of them successfully hit one of the chasing ships and exploded instantly. The chasing ship in the middle was instantly submerged in flames, and the explosion produced a powerful impact that pushed the other 2 chasing ships to both sides. Slap around the pursuit ship. There are enemies. The ninjas were startled and quickly looked outside. Except for the fluctuating water, there was no trace of a person on the sea surface. Water style. Water dragon bomb. Several voices sounded, and then more than a dozen water dragons turned out of the sea and quickly rushed towards the burning and sinking pursuit ship. When the flames were extinguished, the ninjas who were pressed down quickly emerged from the water. However, the power of the 2 torpedo explosions just now did not hurt Jonin and the special Jonin, but the 300 shunins on board suffered heavy casualties. Many people were soaked into seawater, the wounds came into contact with the seawater and the salty seawater immediately intensified. The pain of the wound, the severe pain, made it difficult for them to concentrate on running chakra. Brush. At this time, 2 more marine submarines came over, and 4 torpedoes were fired at the half-sunk pursuit ship. Under the sea, the attack comes from under the sea and is heading towards you, so be careful. The accompanying perceptual ninja sensed the torpedo coming from the front, and immediately exclaimed in the direction of the destroyed chasing ships. Advertisement hearing the reminder of the perceptual reconnaissance ninja, those Jonin and the special Jonin were startled and hesitated for a while. He didn't know where the attack came from, and he couldn't resist it, so he could only give up those intermediate ninjas who were still in the water and couldn't escape. Everyone abandoned the boat and walked on the sea. Gaidong Guewi, the leader of the Gaidong family, is not a fool. He knows that the attack comes from underwater. If people spread out on the water, they should not suffer such an attack. Hearing Gaidong Gueyu's words, everyone immediately gave up the chasing ships, dispersed, wrapped Chakra's feet, stepped on the sea and rushed towards Carden Island. What to do? In the submarine, the Marines saw that the ninjas resolutely abandoned the ship and dispersed, and it was difficult for the torpedoes to hit each other, so they immediately asked the accompanying commander. No need to chase, sink their ships and let us retreat. The commander at the lieutenant colonel level glanced at the ninjas rushing towards Carden Island, sneered, and then said, Boom. Boom. The ninjas who had just run away only felt 2 explosions behind them. Looking back, the 2 pursuit ships were sunk by an inexplicable attack. Okay, I know. His Royal Highness, the submarine force failed to stop the opponent, and the ninjas of Kirigakure are approaching Kaden Island on foot. Kitano Ichiro hung up the phone call from the submarine and said respectfully to Akira Yagyu. Turn on the defensive cannons, all aim at the direction of those Kirigakure ninjas, and launch indiscriminate coverage bombing. Yagayu nodded and said lightly. Kitano Ichiro quickly arranged it, and the next moment, all the 200 artillery pieces of the entire Carden Island were activated, aiming at the sea to the southwest for frantic bombardment. Chapter 74 Zephyr takes action. Boom. 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 A series of shells smashed into the sea, and the originally calm sea surface was suddenly blown up, and hundreds of pieces burst into a 10-meter-high spray. Looks like we've been found. Gaidong Guewi looked at the surrounding sea that was constantly being blown up, and immediately said in a deep voice. What? At this moment, a hapless Chunin-level scoundrel screamed, and a cannonball exploded beside him. The explosion's flames instantly enveloped it, and the ninjutsu disappeared before it could even be released. Then, everyone discovered that another wave of artillery shells struck. Everyone gets together and prepares for ninjutsu. Gaidong Guewi twitched the corners of his eyes, immediately shouted loudly, and quickly raised his handprint on his hand. Water-style Kyoga Suigetsu. Gaidong Guewi gave a low drink, and a water curtain was angry from the sea, blocking the shells like a huge transparent wall. Boom. A cannonball exploded on the water curtain, creating a splash of water, but it did not blow up the water curtain, but Guilan Guiyu's face seemed to be affected, and her face suddenly turned white. Water-style Kyoga Suigetsu. The other Jonins were all ready for ninjutsu at the moment, and the water curtains rose up quickly, merging with the water curtain of the Ghost Lamp and Ghost Moon, and became more crystal clear, but this time the shell hit it and exploded, and the splash was much smaller. Seeing this, other special Jonins also let go of the ninjutsu they prepared. A group of people supported the water curtain and faced the artillery bombardment of Kaden Island. Originally, it only took more than an hour to travel at full speed to reach Kaden Island. Stunned, it took them nearly 3 hours to arrive. Fortunately, the artillery bombing stopped after more than half an hour, but as if there were eyes staring at them, as soon as they pulled down the water curtain, the shells would strike immediately, and the ninjas could only support the water curtain all the way. When all the villages of Mist Shinobi came ashore, the consumption of chakra made everyone's face not very good looking. You are finally here, the old man has been waiting for you for a long time. Advertisement. Just when everyone was about to take a rest and start an attack on Carden Island, they found a purple-haired old man looking at them with his arms in his arms. Who are you? Everyone immediately stood up straight. Gaidong Guewi straightened up, looked at Zephyr, and at the same time, his hands were silently raising their handprints quickly. Kill your people. Zephyr's eyes jumped, and his hands were instantly covered in black by armament hockey. Then you're an idiot. Gaidong Guewi snorted coldly, and at the same time the fingerprints on her hands were completed. Water-style water jet cutting. With a loud drink, a giant water jet quickly emerged from the seawater next to it, galloping towards Zephyr. Gaidong Guewi looked at Zephyr coldly. This was the A-level ninjutsu he had been brewing for a long time since he landed on the shore, or the power was greatly increased at the seaside. This old man was afraid that he could be cut in half at once. Humph. Looking at the water blade, Zephyr snorted coldly, facing the water blade, and unexpectedly threw his fist forward. Is this guy crazy? Seeing that Zephyr actually wanted to use his body to cut his A-level ninjutsu water jet, even Gaidong Guewi was taken aback, but after a stun, he immediately sneered. A guy who was over his head. Gaidong Guewi snorted coldly, with contempt in his eyes, and the ninjas around were all smiling. Wow. The next moment, chi slammed into Zephyr's fist, and Zephyr's fist was not cut open as the ninjas imagined, but the water, like ice cubes, quickly shattered. How come? This guy actually blocked A-rank ninjutsu with his body. Looking at the A-rank ninjutsu that turned into a pool of water, a group of Kirigakure ninjas were full of disbelief. Advertisement, kill him. Seeing his ninjutsu being blocked by someone's body, Gaidong Gueyu's face was also extremely ugly. With a cold snort, all the ninjas acted quickly. The first is the other 14 Jonins. After throwing a shot of Kuwu, they rushed up quickly. The Chunin behind could not capture the movement of these Jonins at all. Only those special Jonins could barely see when the Jonins were moving. The pause. 0. Ask for flowers. Keng. A series of kunai was easily blocked by Zephyr's arm, and then a ninja took the opportunity to appear behind him, jumped up, and slashed at the back of Zephyr's neck with a high five. Humph. However, Zephyr seemed to have eyes behind him, and with a cold snort, the ninja only felt his eyes sway, and his arm was suddenly clamped by a huge force. How? Boom. Then Jonin was startled, and before he could react to what was going on, he was smashed to the ground by Zephyr's arm. All the bones in his body were smashed, and the broken bones pierced the heart and bleed directly from the stoma, and he lost his breath. 0.0 The other Jonin, taking advantage of the moment Zephyr bent down and smashed the ninja down, held the kunai from 4 directions, and pinpointed Zephyr's waist, heart, support and back of the neck respectively. Jonin is already a village of ninjas. The top combat power, the strength and damage are also accurate. Every place can be said to be a vital part. Several people attacked together, confident that any one hit could seriously injure or even kill the other, but Zephyr was faster than them. Blackout. Zephyr twitched his fists, clenched his fists, bent over, and turned his footsteps. The whole person just passed the gap of the ninja attack at the back and pulled out. The punch hit the back of the ninja who had attacked from behind. Boom. With a shock, Jonin was directly smashed by Zephyr, his back was smashed to the ground, and the stone under his feet was shattered. Impossible. One face to face actually let that guy kill two Jonin, just based on the body. Who is he? In the distance, Chunin and the special Jonin stared blankly at the two Jonin's corpses lying on the ground with no heartbeat. Chapter 75 Black Arm Fall. Everything just happens in an instant. The lower Chunins had no idea what was going on, and they knew very well how the two Jonins were killed. Both Jonin's and Zephyr's voices were flickering rapidly, and suddenly two Jonin's bodies were smashed to the ground. It can be said that they appeared somewhat inexplicably. Water-style water iron cannon. Gaidong Guewi caught the figure of the other party, and quickly threw the ninjutsu tricks out, and then looked aside, and suddenly his lungs almost exploded. What are you doing? Hurry up and search for information. Seeing that the Chunin and the special Jonin were all watching, Guilan Guiyu was so angry that he almost jumped, and he shouted loudly with gritted teeth, 010. Ah, yes. Please be careful. A group of Chunin reacted immediately, and they rushed to pass by Zephyr and rushed into Cardin Island. If you want to pass, just go through this old man. Zephyr sideways dodged Ghost Lantern and Ghost Moon's water and iron cannon, then looked at those ninjas indifferently, suddenly pulled away, and in front of those ninjas, there was a great momentum of being one husband. Do you think you can stop so many of us? Gaidong Guewi sneered, and quickly raised the handprint on her hand. Water-style mist shinobi technique. Directly using Kirigakir's usual housekeeping, the white fog filled the air, and a ninja quietly passed Zephyr's side, trying to sneak in. However, for Zephyr, who possessed the intermediate observation haki, Shiro Mist had no effect at all, and Zephyr's every move was within the perception of all the nearly 1,000 ninjas. I saw Zephyr move. Advertisement, finger pistol. Zephyr took a step, and his index finger and middle finger quickly came together, and suddenly pierced into the heart of a ninja on the side. Tempest kick. Then, Zephyr raised his right foot and slammed it forward, and a giant air blade 10 meters long and 2 meters wide slanted and cut into the thick white mist. Ah! My hand. Ah! My leg was cut off. For a time, a group of ninjas suddenly screamed in the white fog. The Shigang came too suddenly and the speed was extremely fast. In addition, there were too many Jonin people. Nearly half of the ninjas were unable to escape the Tempest kick. Cut in half. Water-style Great Falls. Amidst the screams of Chunin, a group of Jonin gritted their teeth, and a huge waterfall more than 100 meters wide fell towards Zephyr. 13 Jonin and 13 giant waterfalls were like a surging river. At this point, even cage level is difficult to escape. There is a possibility of death. They do not believe that this old man can still resist their ninjutsu with his fleshly body. In particular, Jonin is also attacking. According to Wu Yu's news, after these guys are soaked in water, it seems that they will become weaker. On the other side, the special Jonin, who was lucky not to be injured, stopped watching. They prepared ninjutsu and gathered in the waterfall. There were water dragons, water cannons, and even the kunai formed by the seawater. Don't be stunned. The others hurry up and pass by now. Gaidong Guewi gritted his teeth. He was not sure whether the other party would be weakened and die under so many ninjutsu, but he always had a bad feeling that they had been delayed for too long. Yes. Although Zephyr's large-scale Tempest kick made many ninjas incapacitated, there were still nearly 300 intermediate ninjas unharmed, and the remaining Chunin rushed out. Those talents had just walked out not very far, not even leaving the beach, when suddenly there was a sudden shock in the waterfall. Ghost Lantern Ghost Moon's expression suddenly changed. Don't stop. You all leave here quickly and go to the Lord's mansion. The secrets of Cardin Island must be there. Advertisement Ghost Lantern and Ghost Moon shouted, and the Chunins didn't dare to stay, and they even increased their speed a lot, desperately trying to escape to the island. Hey Tuo Fall. Zephyr's voice passed through the surging water of the ninjutsu waterfall and reached everyone's ears. How is it possible? Doesn't he say he will be weakened? Gaidong Guewi heard Zephyr's still sonorous and full-bodied breath, which made Jonin a little scared. The Jonins of Kirigakir and the Jonins in particular cannot imagine what kind of monsters they are fighting. Just as everyone was thinking, Zephyr's body suddenly jumped out of the waterfall, and then the whole person became pitch black. The whole person hung upside down, and a pair of 5 black fists were facing downward. Zephyr's feet slammed into the air. A terrifying sonic boom was shaken by the powerful force, and the powerful thrust made Zephyr's body also smash to the ground like an arrow from the string. Boom! The fist hit the ground cracked quickly, and a powerful impact rushed out from his fist. Half of the ninjutsu he had released was completely dissipated, and the nearest special Jonin was directly shattered by the powerful impact. The original crack was still expanding. After the ground cracked, pieces of soil seemed to be squeezed, and they rushed out of the ground one after another. Those Chunin who had not had time to run far away were pierced by the soil, but luckily they were not pierced. All of them were hit and vomited blood, and then the shocks followed one after another, saying that all those seriously injured were crushed to death. Then 1.3 those soils were also shattered by the shock, and the ninjas, whether alive or still alive, were all buried underground. Cough cough. The ninjas sent by Kirigakir to Kaden Island were almost killed and wounded. When Guilan Guiyu realized that something was wrong, she put herself into the hydration technique and escaped by luck, but the terrifying impact and dust explosion still made he was almost out of combat. Who are you in the end? Why, you have never been in the information, who are you? Gaidong Wuyue hugged his chest and pointed to Zephyr who was calm in front of him. He wanted to break his head, but he didn't know why there was a body like a terrifying person. Chapter 76 Washing the Fruits. Wash thoroughly. Zephyr didn't speak, but picked up the ghost lamp and the ghost moon and took it back to the Marine Base building office. Akira Yagayu and Suru were both sitting at their desks. Kitano Ichiro was standing beside Akira Yagayu, and Crocodile was standing by the window. The smoke from the cigarettes kept coming out of the window. His Royal Highness, there is still a living. Zephyr threw the ghost lamp on the floor in front of Akira Yagayu and said loudly to Akira Yagayu. Looking at Zephyr, who didn't even breathe after killing thousands of ninjas, Kitano Ichiro looked blank. He found that the people under his highness were really getting more and more pervert. Well, good, it's hard work for you. Nodding, Akira Yagayu set his eyes on Gaidong Guewi. What do you want to do? Gaidong Guewi raised his head, saw Akira Yagayu and Crane both staring at him, and immediately asked anxiously. How many ninjas have you come this time? Akira Yagayu squinted, looked at the other party and asked. Why should I tell you? We're enemies. Gaidong Gueyu's eyes widened, his mouth split open, and he smiled disdainfully at Akira Yagayu. 05. You be *******D, actually talking to his highness like this. Kitano Ichiro's expression changed suddenly, as if he felt that Akira Yagayu was being insulted. He pointed to the ghost lamp and said angrily. His Royal Highness, Mr. Kitano, let me come. Seeing Akira Yagayu's brows raised, Crane got up from the side, finished speaking, and took strong steps to the front of Gaidong Guewi. Akira Yagayu nodded when he saw Crane's initiative, and Ichiro Kitano immediately became curious. This chief staff officer can be said to be the first think tank under his highness, but he always felt that this old lady was definitely more than just looking. It's as simple as being a planner. Advertisement. Old woman, you are so old, don't think about what you get from my mouth. Seeing the Crane coming to him, Gaidong Guiyu's eyes flashed a trace of fear, but she still spoke viciously. Is it? Crane looked at each other with a kind smile. It was hard to imagine that Crane looked so old, but his hands were not as withered as the old people. I saw the Crane's hands flashing white light, and it became like a jade carving, and it looked crystal clear. Wash thoroughly. As the gentle voice of the Crane fell, the white light of the Crane's hands seemed to become cleaner. What do you want to do? Gaidong Guiyu's eyes widened, looking at Crane's bizarre hands. His arms supported his body and wanted to move away, but Z used his feet to hold his back, and no matter how hard his legs were, he couldn't move. Damn it, don't, you, damn it. Suppressed by Zephyr, Ghost Lantern and Ghost Moon struggled several times and couldn't escape at all. All kinds of dirty words were spoken, no matter how hard they resisted, it was useless. White light slowly sprinkled from Crane's hand, and then gently attached Ghost Lantern Ghost Moon, then quickly wrapped it completely. Deep in the white light, the originally tense face of Gaidong Guiyu gradually became peaceful, and the eyes full of unwillingness and resentment also relaxed, becoming as if there were no desires, and the originally grinning mouth also slowly changed. With a gentle smile, even the blood and dust on his body were quickly removed. Okay, let him go. Crane stood up suddenly, wiped the fine sweat oozing from his forehead and retreated to the side. Zephyr, who heard the voice, also loosened his toes on the back of the ghost lamp and ghost moon, and stood silently on the side. I have seen His Highness Yagayu. With a gentle smile, Gaidong Guiyu said softly towards Akira Yagayu, as if everything in her heart had been let go. This is great staff officer. What's wrong with this guy? Kitano Ichiro was taken aback when he looked at the ghost lamp ghost moon who seemed to have suddenly changed into a person, and quickly looked at the Crane on the side of Akira Yagayu and asked. Advertisement. Even his heart has been washed clean by me, our Marine, now he is more suitable for our Marine's purpose of eliminating evil and maintaining justice. Crane smiled and saw Akira Yagayu also had a puzzled look, and then explained softly to several people. Yes, Your Highness Yagayu, if possible, please let me join Marine, I hope to contribute to the justice and peace of the world. The ghost lamp and ghost moon next to him also nodded in agreement with such a face, and asked at the same time. Akira Yagayu nodded. He remembered that in the original book, Doflamingo seemed to be quite afraid of the Crane's trick, but he didn't expect to actually let him see it. How many ninjas have you come here? Looking at the ghost lamp and ghost moon, Akira Yagayu repeated the previous question again. No, I'm not going to be with that filthy Kurigakure. They have 14 Jonin in total, and 90 special Jonin, and 1,000 Shunin, but they're all dead now. Gaidong Guiyu thought for a moment, and then said with certainty. How many ninjas are there in Kurigakure now? Akira Yagayu's face sank. He didn't expect that the worst of the 1,000 people who came was actually Chunin. In this case, there must be many ninjas in the country of water. In the case of Kurigakure, there should be 10,000 ninjas even in the major families, but most of them are Genin, and there should be about 1,000 in Chunin. Especially, Jonin and Jonin can already say all of them, and the rest are just a few. Number. How about it? Your Highness is going to attack Kurigakure. I can also do my part. The third Mizukage guy is not easy to deal with. Without any hesitation, Gaidong Guiyu told Akira Yagayu everything she knew, and even as if she still had a deep hatred with Kurigakure, she volunteered to attack Kurigakure. Seeing the earth-shaking changes in Ghost Lantern and Ghost Moon, even their former companions and clan became disgusted. Akira Yagyu, who was present, all had a strange look on their faces, and then gave Crane a deep look. Especially Akira Yagyu. Now he finally understands why Doflamingo is afraid of cranes, completely changing a person's future lifestyle, as well as mentality, making himself the person he hates the most, for any ambitious person, is more than death even scarier. It seems that the old woman can't be offended in the future. I don't know whether it was intentional or not, but Crocodile's voice came into everyone's ears, which made people deeply agree. Chapter 77 Orochimaru arrives. Your Highness, I suddenly remembered something. Crane's face froze at Crocodile's ridicule, but then he frowned again. Over 30 Marines won their first battle with those Sea Kings, did you not let them back? The Crane's face gradually became serious, and he continued to ask without waiting for Akira Yagyu to ask. I let them directly occupy the water country port, ready to attack Kurigakure, you mean? Akira Yagyu nodded, then understood what Crane meant. Don't you think that there are so many strong men in Kurigakure? Although there is a fault, Chunin and Genin should be enough to deal with those Marines, not to mention the guys led by 3rd Mizukage and Ching. Gillen Guiyu, who was next to him, was also concerned about Marine, and when he heard Crane's serious tone, he was immediately surprised. The Chunin and Jonin who came here today can be said to be the ninja powers of the various blood-based boundary families in the country of water, but Kurigakure's own Chunin did not actually dispatch many ninjas, but Jonin and Special Jonin have indeed appeared blank. During the period, basically all died here on Kaidan Island, and now Kaidan Island and Kurigakure have an endless ending. Your Highness, do you need to transfer them back? When Kitano Ichiro heard this, he immediately understood the concerns of several people and asked quickly. No need to. Akira Yagyu shook his head, the Marines would occupy the port, and if they retreated rashly, it would be more beneficial for the Kurigakure ninja to fight on the sea. Don't you need to withdraw? But there are so many ninjas. Advertisement. Kitano, you forgot, aren't they just ordinary Marine recruits, female? Akira Yagyu frowned, looked at Akira Yagyu and said with a smile. Hearing Akira Yagyu's reminder, Kitano Ichiro was taken aback and laughed, although he was still a little worried, but he had no doubts about Akira Yagyu's confidence. After Orochimaru came out of Sarutobi Hiruzen, he set off without stopping at Konoha, skipping the battle between the Land of Water and Kaidan Island, and went directly to the waters of Kaidan Island. Is that Kaidan Island there? Orochimaru was surprised when he saw the sandy land on one side of Kaidan Island and the dense forest on the other, and then swaggered to land on Kaidan Island. Since he became famous in World War II, a series of assassination missions made him tired of the life in the village, and he saw too much life and death, which also made him sigh at the fragility of life. Years of research has allowed him to achieve some results, but now he is not good at doing experiments with people who are physically strong. Originally, he had been searching all the time, and he had not noticed the rapidly rising Kaidan Island, but when he heard that there was a powerful warrior who could kill ninjas here, he finally became interested in this rapidly rising rookie. The point is to be interested in the ability to make a samurai strong enough to kill Jonin. As soon as Orochimaru came ashore, he felt his body shake, as if someone was watching him in the dark, and his every move could not escape the opponent's master. If he dared to do anything, the opponent would attack without hesitation. This not only made him not frightened, but made him more excited. The feeling of being probed is different from the probe of the perceptual ninja. It is a feeling that he has never had before, as if his next move is known by the other party the same. Who are you? At this time, Marine also came around. Although Orochimaru was not wearing the Konoha village battle suit and the ninja forehead protector, the strange costume did not resemble the clothes of the residents of Kaidan Island. Looking at Marine, who was holding a musket with a serious face, the attire of these people was completely different from the warriors he knew from all over the world. There was no hard armor on their bodies, and they were all white cloth. I can't stop the musket's attack, on the contrary, it will slow down his speed, so he is relieved immediately. However, what surprised him even more was the fact that the General Marine at the head, under the seemingly thin commander, contained a power that was dozens of times more than ordinary people. Advertisement. Hello, I'm the General of the garrison on Kaidan Island. Pen, please tell me your identity and purpose immediately. T-Pung came to the front of N Marine, looked at Orochimaru, and said seriously. Orochimaru's body was full of insidious cunning, like the lion majesty with hidden fangs ready to kill the opponent at any time, which made him very uncomfortable. Glancing at Pen's tall and sturdy body with interest, Orochimaru did not act rashly, but thought for a moment. Please tell your lord that Orochimaru of Konoha wants to see him. In the end, Orochimaru raised his head, without hiding his identity, and said with a gentle smile, which combined with his indescribable temperament, seemed even more bizarre. Seeing the sudden change in Orochimaru, Pen frowned instinctively, but still took out the phone bug. Orochimaru, bring him here. Akira Yagyu was stunned, and he didn't understand what this guy was doing here, but he thought of Orochimaru, which made Akira Yagyu think of something, so he said immediately. Seeing that the strange snail in the hands of Gong Pen could actually make a human voice, and it was very likely that the voice of the Lord of Kaidan Island, Orochimaru was very surprised, and he became even more curious about Kaidan Island. Your Highness agrees with you, don't run around behind us. Pen put away the phone bug, looked at Orochimaru and said solemnly, then turned around and walked towards Hygeia City. Orochimaru didn't hesitate, and immediately followed, and the lock disappeared immediately when the worker said that Akira Yagyu agreed to meet him, but he could still feel that he was still under unknown surveillance. This made him want to bring Gong Pen back to study, but he had to suppress this idea. Chapter 78. Take Orochimaru to the research center. Report to your highness, I have brought it. Following the worker Pen, he entered the big bacon outside the lord's mansion. All the things inside made Orochimaru feel novel, until in front of a door, Pen stopped and shouted inside. Come in. As soon as the sound came from inside, Orochimaru followed the worker Pen and walked in. As soon as he entered the office, Orochimaru was immediately attracted by Akira Yagyu who was sitting directly in front of him. It's about the size of a Minato. Seeing Akira Yagyu's young face, Orochimaru's heart shuddered. He didn't expect Akira Yagyu to be an enemy of the land of water at such a young age. I have seen your lord. Orochimaru stood still and greeted Akira Yagyu without being rude. One of Konoha-Sanin, the land of fire, you are here alone, aren't you afraid of being known by the people of Kurigakure? Akira Yagyu looked at Orochimaru and found that the other party was not much different from what he remembered. Akira Yagyu asked lightly with his chin stuck. Orochimaru is not surprised that Akira Yagyu knows his identity, but when he sees Akira Yagyu's calm appearance, Orochimaru is puzzled again. This guy knows that he is one of the 3 people who became famous in World War II and is still so calm. Sudden attack from a short distance, is there really any bottom line? Orochimaru was puzzled, but he didn't show it. He found that there were only too many places that he didn't expect to come here. It stands to reason that Kurigakure should be more afraid of your excellency. It's not worth letting the power of the Water Kingdom and Kurigakure to suppress the country. Advertisement. Orochimaru was noncommittal about Akira Yagyu's inquiry, but continued. As Orochimaru said, if Akira Yagyu and Orochimaru are tied and thrown to the land of water, then Kurigakure and the land of water will definitely kill Akira Yagyu without hesitation. After the war, the country of fire dare not directly invade the land of the country of water, but Akira Yagyu has already occupied several countries in the east, south and north of the country of water, and even the main island of the country of water. The ports are already occupied. Your lordship can make the kingdom of water and Kurigakure suffer heavy losses. I think your excellency is also a smart person. I want to make a deal with your excellency. Orochimaru looked at Akira Yagyu, paused, and continued. Before the transaction, wouldn't Mr. be interested in the secrets of my Carden Island? Akira Yagyu looked at Orochimaru, stood up suddenly, said, walked past Orochimaru, and walked out of the office. It wasn't until Akira Yagyu came to the door that Orochimaru reacted, and at this moment Orochimaru was covered in cold sweat. Afterwards, Orochimaru subconsciously glanced at Zephyr, who had not spoken, and forcibly suppressed the shock in his heart. It's not that he hadn't thought about hijacking Akira Yagyu just now, but the terrifying lock made him know that this time he was stronger than when he first landed on the island. This time, it is definitely the fear of the other party. He could be sure that once he did something to Akira Yagyu, it would definitely be an attack that he couldn't resist. Unfortunately, I originally planned to kill you when you had any bad thoughts, looking at the uncomfortable guy. Looking at Orochimaru, Crocodile turned into a wind and sand and came behind Orochimaru, with a faint warning, and then followed out, which made Orochimaru shocked again. The accident given to him on Kaden Island AFBD has been out of his control. But Akira Yagyu's secret made his heart beat, and he certainly wouldn't be so frightened to leave. He glanced around secretly, and his eyes finally fell on the crane. From the moment he entered the door, it was this old woman who had been extremely uncomfortable. For some reason, his instinct was to not want to get too close to the other party. Advertisement. As if he noticed Orochimaru's gaze, the crane raised his head and gave him a kind smile. However, under this smile, Orochimaru's heart became even more alert. He was very familiar with this kind of smile, and there was definitely an unimaginable hidden behind this smile. Secret. We're going to the Marine Technology Center. Would you like to visit Mr. Orochimaru? Standing at the door, Akira Yagyu looked at Orochimaru with a smile on his face and shouted. Hearing Akira Yagyu's cry, Orochimaru's face changed, and finally with a gentle smile on his face, he looked out the door. Why don't you go? It's the best to be able to pay homage to the scientific research center of His Excellency the Lord. Orochimaru gritted his teeth in his heart. He was certain that Akira Yagyu would never take him to any scientific research center, or even a trap, but when he heard the name of the scientific research center, he decided to take a gamble. When the scientific research center was built by Akira Yagyu, it stood side by side with Marine Barracks, and it didn't take long to come to the outside of the scientific research center. It can be said that the scientific research center is entirely made of unknown metals. The whole building exudes steel-like rules, which can easily resist the bombardment of ordinary artillery fire. Moreover, the stabilization system and the silencer system are the ultimate of the current marine technology, even inside or outside. The explosion will not affect the other side either. The first time he saw a similar building, Orochimaru's pupils shrank. Although this thing had a sign with a scientific research center on it, it looked like an indestructible prison no matter what. Seeing this, Orochimaru immediately looked at the group of Akira Yagyu cautiously, ready to support Akira Yagyu to escape at any time. The quack. I saw Akira Yagyu put his palm on a switch outside the gate, and the metal gate slowly opened, revealing the researchers inside who were walking back and forth in work clothes to calculate data. Huh, it's really a scientific research base. Looking at the complete scientific research equipment inside, his eyes were immediately drawn to the biological research that Guy was pondering. Chapter 79 Guy and Orochimaru. Can I go in? Orochimaru stood outside, looking at Guy Saw's busy figure inside, and the instruments in front of him and the mice experimenting in the cage. He immediately became interested and asked Akira Yagyu. Akira Yagyu nodded. He has always been like this, but if Guy and Orochimaru are together, the technological concept of the pirate world collides with the technological concept of the Hokage world. Although Geisa can't compare to Vegapunk's 500-year-old scientific research concept, he hasn't recruited Vegapunk yet, but Geisa has already mastered part of the bloodline factor technology, plus his research on biology, absolutely top-notch in this Hokage world. Who are you? Orochimaru just came to Guy's side and immediately attracted Guy's. Looking at Orochimaru, Guy asked immediately. I'm Orochimaru. I'm just a little interested in your scientific research, come and watch it. Orochimaru was stunned for a moment, and then said embarrassingly. You know this too. Looking at Orochimaru's costume, knowing that the other party is an aborigines in this world, it is also a little unexpected to ask. No, a little bit. Recently I've been doing a study to keep people alive. Orochimaru nodded, put forward his own scientific research ideas, and then looked at Guy, enjoying the surprise in his eyes. Show strength and strength, immortality. It's a good idea, you are really an ambitious person. He glanced at Orochimaru in surprise, and then Guy laughed. Those who want to pursue immortality, there is no good lane. What's wrong with immortality, at least not being controlled by others? Orochimaru smiled noncommittally, and although the guy had a weird smile, he really liked his experimental formula. Although Geisa talked to Orochimaru, he did not forget the work at hand, picked up a needle, and extracted the liquid from the test tube on the second shelf on the right. Advertisement. Guy's smile was restrained, his expression solemn, and he came to another workbench and picked up the mice in one of the cages. The little guinea pig kept sniffing in Guy's hands, and at this moment it didn't know what would happen next. Guy held it in his hand, and the other hand quickly poured the liquid into the mouse. Hey! After the injection of the liquid was completed, the little white rat broke free from Guy's palm, and jumped to the ground more than 10 meters to make a sharp cry. Afterwards, I saw that the little white rat's body soared, and in the blink of an eye, a calf laughed, his eyes turned red, full of attacking power. Seeing the changes in the mouse, Orochimaru was a little stunned. He is now extremely curious about what the reagent just now was, and it was able to turn a slap-sized mouse into the size of a calf. You seem to have failed. Looking at the guinea pig with red pupils, drooling, and full of aggression, Orochimaru pouted and looked at Guy and said yo-yo. Show force, fail. No, that's just part of the success, show force. Guy gave Orochimaru a look, grinning and letting out a weird laugh. Orochimaru nodded after listening. Although the experiment failed, it was undeniable that once successful, these creatures would be so magnified, what kind of shock it would bring to the world. He didn't know that the giant technology had matured on Akira Yagyu's side, and he had successfully jauntized the kilometer-scale sea kings. Roar. During the conversation between the two, the little guinea pig became huge, and even the sound changed. With a low roar, he quickly rushed towards Guy and Orochimaru. Seeing the big mouse, Orochimaru's eyes narrowed, and he clenched his fists to start, but Guy Saw suddenly released a burst of pink-purple gas smoke. As soon as the gas smoke appeared, it quickly rushed to the mouse that failed the experiment. The next moment, the mouse stopped in midair for a moment, struggled in the gas smoke for a moment, and then went silent. Advertisement. 0. Ask for flowers. Is this a flu? Looking at Guy's tricks, Orochimaru's eyes jumped. He didn't expect that this seemingly ordinary researcher was also a master. Guy, what's going on? Although Akira Yagyu saw the scene where Guy's experiment failed, he still had some doubts. It should have been a bio-giant technology just now, but isn't it very mature for ordinary animals, why it still failed? Ah, Your Highness, you are here, show your strength. I added a little something on the basis of the giant creature, but it seems to have failed, show Li Lily. Seeing Akira Yagyu and the others, Geisa suddenly rose up, and Orochimaru noticed that Geisa's legs were actually covered with pink-purple gas smoke. 0.0. His voice also caught the attention of the other working staff, who immediately stopped what they were doing to salute Akira Yagyu. Seeing how these people respected Akira Yagyu, Orochimaru moved in his heart. Although the island of Kaden is not big, it can be said that it has everything. He found that the scientific research technology of these people has greatly exceeded the level of the 5 current countries. Akira Yagyu's eyes twitched. He didn't ask more. The experiment failed and the research he knew now was useless. The experiment failed and made the guests laugh. Let's go to the place that trains strong managers for my marine. Akira Yagyu said with a smile, and turned away regardless of whether Orochimaru agreed or not. Of course, Akira Yagyu took the initiative to take him to the place he just wanted to go, and Orochimaru agreed with both hands and immediately followed. Having seen Marine's Technology Center, Orochimaru was no longer nervous, but he did not relax. He followed Akira Yagyu closely, occasionally glancing at Crocodile, Crane, and Zephyr who were in his peers. Although he still hasn't figured out why Akira Yagyu is so eager for him, he still doesn't want to let this opportunity go. Factory, Chapter 80. Enter the Marine Academy. This time Orochimaru followed Akira Yagyu and they left Hygeia City directly and came to Marine Academy. The Marine Academy is divided into a knowledge teaching area, an actual combat teaching area, a training building, a training ground, and a lodging and logistics area. There are altogether Wuge areas. Each area is at least as big as a football field. The well-armed Marine surrounds the entire Marine Academy. Strictly, from time to time there are more than a dozen Marines conducting patrols and investigations. Marine College has a total of 2 major gates. The outermost is a fence surrounded by iron nets. After passing through, a few minutes' walk is followed by a row of 5-meter-high enclosures. The gate is like a hill made of steel. In the humid island climate, some rust can be vaguely seen, but the heavy breath of the gate has not weakened in the slightest. Your Highness, in front of the gate of 030, there were 2 generals at the level of colonel, who immediately shouted respectfully when they saw Akira Yagyu coming. Well, open the door. Nodding, glancing at the door, Akira Yagyu said something. Yes, 2 colonel-level generals seized the 2 doors of the Marine Academy respectively. Are these 2 guys going to push them away with brute force? Orochimaru looked at the actions of the 2, and was suddenly shocked, vaguely, and still had some expectations. I saw the 2 of them grab the door and exerted force, their faces flushed instantly, and the 2 heavy doors that were like hills and weighed nearly 100 tons did not move at all. What? Then the 2 let out a loud shout at the same time, and the ground was sunk by the 2 of them at the same time. Wow quack. Advertisement. There was a piercing sound, and the 2 doors were slowly pushed open by the 2 of them, slowly staggering a gap of nearly 2 meters wide, and then the 2 of them pressed their legs again, firmly pressing against the door that seemed to be closed on its own. Your Highness, please come in. Afterwards, the 2 of them said loudly together, that if someone else goes in, they only need to open a gap of half a meter, but Akira Yagyu is different, and the position he should have must not be the same as others, but the bigger the opening, the more power it needs. The bigger it is, this is already the limit for the 2 of them. Between the words, the beads of sweat on the foreheads of the 2 are already rolling down quickly. The words of the 2 also made Orochimaru react from the sigh of the strength of the 2 bodies. Looking at Akira Yagyu who had already entered, he quickly walked in, and the others quickly followed. Boom. After the last crocodile passed, just after taking a step, the door was quickly closed, and the stones on the ground were shaken by the sound of the 2 doors merging. Is this where you train? Having entered the Marine Academy, Orochimaru immediately attracted all the attention of the recruits on the training ground ahead. CP9 and they are leading a group of boys and girls in training on the training ground. Many children are only 4 or 5 years old, but everyone is training like crazy, and some people can even smash a fist on the ground in a circle. Some are a little more mature, but they are only 7 or 8 years old. They are carrying out weight-bearing racing training in the water tank on the training ground, constantly stimulating the blood flow of the body, stimulating the muscles, and making further breakthroughs. Such a training method, even when he was so old, had never experienced it. Lord, it's a gift from Lord. Really, has the Lord come to see us? Shish, hurry up and train, you didn't see who is next to Lord. The evil chief instructor is actually with Lord, but don't be distracted by seeing him, or we will be punished again. Advertisement. It may be that the movement on the side of the gate caught the attention of the students. When they saw Akira Yagyu, their faces flushed with excitement, but after noticing Zephyr next to Akira Yagyu, they immediately retracted their eyes and stepped up their training. Seeing those half-year-olds being so afraid of himself, Zephyr couldn't help feeling a little embarrassed. Looking at this situation, Akira Yagyu smiled. These little guys are still young, at an active age, there are some things they still don't understand, why Zephyr is so harsh to them. Zephyr has always been a kind person, if it's not that he can't go against his will, maybe those ninjas won't be killed either. In fact, in comparison, the CP9 people are even more ferocious. If it wasn't for Zephyr's strong opposition, Lucci even asked them to go directly to the battlefield and experience the bloody killings. Wow, Lord, you finally came to see us. Suddenly, a crisp cry came from a distance, and Yu pulled Shui excitedly and ran from a distance. Seeing the 2 of them, Orochimaru, who had been observing the students, suddenly glared, but he quickly calmed down. At this time, Lucci also followed from behind the 2 little girls. Orochimaru looked away quickly as if not to attract the attention of Akira Yagyu and the others, but when he saw Lucci, Orochimaru's eyes suddenly fell on Lucci. It can't be removed from the body. At this moment, he can be sure that Lucci is definitely the person with excellent talent he has been looking for. Noticing Orochimaru's naked eyes, Lucci was a little disgusted. If Orochimaru hadn't been beside Akira Yagyu, he would have made a move. Since he couldn't make a move, he would simply not be able to see him. Orochimaru's reaction when he saw Yu and Shui did not escape the feelings of Zephyr, Crane and Akira Yagyu. After all, Orochimaru is one of the Sannin, and Akira Yagyu was also worried that this guy would lose his mind for a while. They were locking him with observation haki, which made Orochimaru always feel like he was being watched. Looking at Yu and Shui, Yagyu fell into deep thought. Judging from the changes in Orochimaru just now, maybe he should know what the identities of the two people are. Lord, Mr. Lu Chi said that we already have 500 Dao power, and we have already mastered 3 Marine 6 styles. The speed of the two little girls was much happier than before, and they rushed in front of Akira Yagyu in a few flashes, like offering a treasure, said proudly, and then looked at Akira Yagyu, as if waiting for Akira Yagyu to praise them. Chapter 81 Study at Marine Academy. 500 powers. Marine 6 styles also returned 4. Akira Yagyu was stunned, and Kitano Ichiro exclaimed. He is also practicing Marine 6 styles, but it has been a long time since he learned to make paper arts. Of course, these are the two that Zephyr suggested to him to cultivate first after seeing his abilities. Kitano Ichiro, who has the quick-cut fruit, learned these two first, and it was the biggest increase in his own strength. Orochimaru didn't understand what they meant by Dao Li and Marine 6 styles, but his face was extremely flat, as if he was not at all curious about what they were talking about. Akira Yagyu looked at Lu Chi and saw Lu Chi nod his head in confirmation. Faced with these two little girls, even Lu Chi felt a little shocking. If he hadn't taught it himself, even Lu Chi thought it was impossible for anyone can improve so quickly. Your Excellency Yagyu, I have a request, and I hope Your Excellency will grant it. Looking at Lu Chi, Orochimaru finally took his eyes back and said towards Akira Yagyu. Tell me. Akira Yagyu looked at Orochimaru, and when Orochimaru saw the changes when he saw Yuki, and Luigi, he vaguely guessed something. I see that your Marine College has a lot to learn from, and I hope to be able to study in your Marine College for a while. Orochimaru pointed directly at the students who were training in the distance, and said seriously. You study with them. Akira Yagyu frowned. Kitano Ichiro immediately asked in surprise. As one of Konoha Sannin, Orochimaru became famous as early as World War II. The two countries of water and fire never fought against each other. Ichiro Kitano was born in the daimyo branch of the Land of Water. Although he was just a samurai, he had no idea about Orochimaru's name at all. Unfamiliar, and now hearing that this guy wants to stay in the marine students to study at such an old age, even Kitano Ichiro can guess that this guy must have a plan. Indeed, Your Excellency Yagyu's academy has complete facilities, and the students have a serious style of study. I want to learn and teach it to Konoha's school. Advertisement. Orochimaru nodded, but Konoha was mentioned in the words. Konoha. Everyone was stunned. That's right, Konoha, the enemy of the enemy is a friend. Now the country of water is targeting Your Excellency, it is a bit difficult compared to Your Excellency. Even if Your Excellency can destroy the water and destroy the country of water, the other countries will definitely not easily let it go. Your Excellency takes over all the land of water. Orochimaru pressed his tongue against his mouth, and said softly. As the enemy of an enemy a friend. Akira Yagyu's eyes jumped and she laughed. I can let you study here, but if you want to leave, you will have to wait at least a week later, and during this time, you can't go anywhere except Marine Academy. Akira Yagyu thought for a moment and agreed, but then made a request and said. At least a week. No problem. Orochimaru's eyes jumped, and he nodded immediately and agreed. Originally, he was worried that Akira Yagyu would let him stay here for 2 days before he could study the secrets here. Didn't expect the result to be unexpected. As for what can't leave here, even if Akira Yagyu doesn't say, he will not leave Marine Academy during this time. After all, Lu Chi and those two little devils are here. For him, the whole Kaden Island is the most worthy of his attention. This is the Marine Academy. Well, that's good, Mr. Zephyr happens to be the chief instructor of this Marine Academy, and he will explain the things you don't understand to Mr. Orochimaru during this time. Nodding at this, Akira Yagyu continued. Mr. Zephyr. He's the chief instructor of this house. Hearing the words behind Akira Yagyu, Orochimaru was suddenly startled, pointed to Zephyr with purple hair who had not spoken, and said in surprise. Advertisement. That's right, it's the highest etiquette for the chief instructor to explain to you what you don't understand, you don't have to be polite to me. Akira Yagyu waved his hand, directly blocking Orochimaru's idea of refusing. Thank you, Your Excellency. Orochimaru's eyes jumped, and he knew in his heart that this lord didn't want to look so simple on the surface. Being so shrewd at such a young age is much more difficult to deal with than that guy from Minato. Squinting, Orochimaru kept saying in his heart. Orochimaru and Akira Yagyu, what the other thinks, both of them are well aware of what Akira Yagyu said and asked Zephyr to explain to him, just to spy on him, but he didn't know, if he was here in the Marine after a week of study in the academy, he will be directly forcibly bound to Akira Yagyu. Marine Academy. Special building, can recruit people from outside the system to join after construction, which includes a full range of combat skills and combat skills. 040 specializes in training Marine generals, and within a week of entering the study, it will be forcibly bound to the host. Generates the desire to betray and cannot go against the host's wishes. Akira Yagyu had already made up his mind from the moment he knew that Orochi came to Marukadan Island. He first took him to the Scientific Research Center, and then brought him to Marine Academy without any scruples, just to fool him into staying in Marine Academy. It's just that Akira Yagyu didn't expect that Orochimaru would offer to stay at Marine Academy because of Yigzu and Lu Chi's reasons, which saved Akira Yagyu's words. Watching Akira Yagyu and the others leave, and then glanced at the side, Zephyr, who was assigned to him to study but did not say a word, Orochimaru gradually opened his eyes, but he didn't expect that he would be put on the line by a mere lord in the end. After that, Orochimaru instantly became gentle and looked at Lu Chi and the two little girls. If possible, I would like to study with you, Orochimaru said to the three with a smile that he thought was gentle. Although Lu Chi was very reluctant to be with this uncomfortable guy, Akira Yagyu had already agreed, and he couldn't refuse. Chapter 82 Karigakur's Last Card. The Land of Water, in Karigakur. Lord Mizukage, it's been 2 days, Ghost Lantern, Ghost Moon, and they haven't come back yet. Ching came to the third Mizukage with an unpleasant expression on his face. It only takes 1 day for Karigakur to go back and forth from Kaden Island, not to mention that Ghost Lantern, Ghost Moon and the others are still on a special pursuit ship with 3 chakra power furnaces. It stands to reason that if the task is completed, they should have returned early. Since they didn't come back, then there are only 2 possibilities. One is that the other party has a large-scale seal or illusion, trapping all the 1,000 Karigakur ninjas including 15 Jonin. The other is that we can only say all ninjas are already deadly. 2 kinds of results. If Kaden Island has the ability to control thousands of ninjas, it is impossible to wait until Karigakur is dispatched, and they have already called themselves. Then there is only another possibility, which is more likely and more difficult to accept. Hearing Ching's report, third Mizukage's eyes were still tightly closed, but his brows were almost drawn together. I don't know why. The army of Cardon Island actually has more than 10 giant sea beasts over 1,000 meters long to help out. Taking a look at third Mizukage, Ao continued to say in a deep voice, if the ninjas sent out really can't come back, the country of water is now in jeopardy. Let the National Protector Team be dispatched to first eliminate the troops from Cardon Island in the port of the Land of Water, and then counterattack Cardon Island. Finally, third Mizukage sighed and said something. National Protection Team. Okay, I'll go and let me know. Hearing that third Mizukage still didn't seem to want to do it by herself, Ao was also taken aback, but she didn't ask, she agreed, and quickly backed away. The ninja of the Water Kingdom is filled with ninjas of the older generation, namely Kagaya Takuya, the head of the Kagaya family, Tsukihiro, the head of the Ghost family, and Zushinosuke, the head of the Snow family, who has the ice shield of the blood and the limit. The 3 of them are all older than the third Mizukage, and they are the 3 geniuses taught by the second Mizukage Ghost Lantern. Although I don't know why none of the 3 became Mizukage, this does not affect the extraordinariness of the 3. Strength. Advertisement. If there are 3 of them, there should be no problem. Thinking of this, Ching Shin said silently. And after please exit Mizukage's office, third Mizukage suddenly opened his eyes. If Ching was here at this moment, he would definitely find that third Mizukage's pupils were cloudy and white at this moment, the kind of eyes that people only have after death. Then, at third Mizukage's back center, a small black rod slowly drilled out of third Mizukage's body, and then quickly dissipated into the air. As the black stick disappeared, third Hokage's body seemed to lose support for a moment, and fell limply on the desk. More than 30 huge heavy warships were all docked side by side at the port in the southeast of the Land of Water. The first time they successfully landed on the main island of the Land of Water, tens of thousands of Marines acted quickly, turning the entire port into a battle fortress, and several commanding heights around the port were quickly controlled. In addition, the Marine of Akira Yagyu, the army also has ship-based artillery that far exceeds the range of the Water Country artillery, which is nearly twice that of the Water Country. Even if the Water Country wants to use the human sea artillery to attack, it is impossible. Even the port was cleared of an open space, and while waiting for Akira Yagyu's next instructions, Marines were trained by various generals. Sicily Rear Admiral, why have you been practicing archery recently? You don't need a musket, so what kind of bow and arrow are you practicing? On the school field that was temporarily cleared in the port, Uchimura, one of the 3 Marine Rear Admiral recruited by Akira Yagyu with the mid-level Marine General Recruitment Order, looked at Sicily, who was contacting the bow and arrow, and immediately asked strangely. Isn't this a practice of Momo's fruit's ability? Sicily smiled, and released his right index finger and thumb holding the arrow, and added the power of Momo fruit to the arrow. The speed of the arrow was increased hundreds of times. The speed was faster than the bullet, and the distance was because the speed has increased 100 times. After penetrating the bullseye, it shoots a full 2 kilometers and enters the mountain wall 2 kilometers away. Momo, the ability of the fruit is really incredible. If you magnify this thing a little bit, the mountain wall can be shot down. Uchimura looked at the damage caused by an ordinary arrow, and immediately said with admiration, but unfortunately his archery was not very good, otherwise he would have been able to compete with Sicily for Momo. Advertisement. If you want to own Devil Fruit, you can also mention it to your highness when you go back. I don't think his highness will be different. Sicily smiled again. Momo Fruit's ability to magnify the vector, coupled with his own strength of Rear Admiral, combined, even Vice Admiral can defeat. Boom. While the two were still talking, there was a sudden roar from the Marine training ground in the distance. I saw the water in the sea was swept into the sky, and then tilted down like a waterfall toward the temporary Marine training ground. Countless Marines who were training had no time to react and were directly washed away by the pouring waterfall. There is a ninja attack. The city of Uchimura frowned, let out a low drink, and disappeared in place in an instant. Ice shield water freeze. The waterfall-like sea water was still pouring, and suddenly it began to quickly condense into ice from the source, and the frost spread, and in the blink of an eye, half of the marine training ground was frozen. There, on the cliff, they killed the scout. Suddenly, a marine pointed to an undisturbed hilltop in the distance and exclaimed. Everyone immediately raised their weapons and aimed at the ninjas who were forming a seal in the distance. In an instant, countless gunshots rang out, and the bullets rushed towards the top of the mountain where the two ninjas stood, but the next moment the bullets were blocked by a huge bone shield. Continuous, phalanx piercing. Immediately afterwards, a voice sounded, and countless bones scattered like bullets. Chapter 83 Momo Fruit plus Explosive Rock. Countless bones were scattered like bullets, and the marine who was hit immediately left a blood hole on his body. Damn guy. Uchimura's face was ashen, and he stepped on Moonwalk and rushed up. After that, some other commodores who would meet Moonwalk rushed towards the top of the hill. Can you actually fly? Seeing that several marine generals rushed up out of thin air, the three chiefs of Kurigakure were also taken aback for a moment, and then they all quickly raised their handprints. These guys are handed over to me. You first take care of the soldiers below. Be careful, those guys who can release light also come out. Keigai Ataku, the patriarch of the Wei Yoruichi clan, saw those generals, sneered, and rushed forward. In the whole country of water, the one with the deepest grudge against Akira Yagyu is the Wei Yoruichi clan. If it wasn't for the sudden appearance of Akira Yagyu and the killing of so many Jonins from the Wei Yoruichi clan, maybe now Kurigakure would be in the hands of the Wei Yoruichi clan. Now the land of water is in jeopardy. The ninjas of the land of water have to put aside their grievances and help the water resist the attack of Kaden Island. Now it happens that the old and new hatreds are counted together. First clean up these marine forties and go to Kaden Island immediately. Kill the culprit and turn it into a puppet for a lifetime. Uchimura clenched the rear admiral saber, saw Keigai Takuya leap towards him, and cut the long sword without hesitation. Facing Uchimura's attack, Keigai Tuo sneered, chakra kui dong, and the calcium of the shoulder bones grew rapidly. Kang. With a bang, Uchimura's attack was just blocked by the cross of bone spurs that quickly grew from Keigai Ataku's shoulders. Ding ding ding, go die. After Keigai blocked Uchimura's attack, he let out a low voice and showed a cruel smile. He moved his hands, bone spurs on his wrists quickly grew, and both hands stabbed towards Uchimura on both sides. Uchimura's long knife was standing on Keigai Ataku's bone spur, and it was too late to withdraw, and the bone spur was getting closer and closer to Uchimura. Momo 50 times bow shot. Suddenly, a sound of breaking air came from Keigai Ataku's side, a cold light flashed, and an arrow as thick as a bucket shot towards Keigai Ataku. What? Advertisement. AFBD. Boom. Keigai Ataku was startled, and before he had time to react, the arrow had already hit him, and the huge force directly blew it away. Ice shield ice flash. Snow clan chief Shui Shinosuke noticed the direction of the huge arrow just now, and his eyes locked on Sicily, which was secretly planning to spread, a body flicker technique, quickly rushed down the mountain, mixed into the marine crowd, and there were ice flashes in a row. Come to Sicily. Go to hell. Shui Shinosuke snorted coldly and smashed his fist into Sicily's chest, who was about to draw a bow. Sicily only felt a sharp pain in his chest, and the whole person flew out immediately, and then, seeing Zushinjisuke, chasing after him, holding an ice-cold sword in his hand, obviously planning to kill Sicily first. Momo 10 times the speed. Seeing the cold ice sword in Yukinosuke's hands, Sicily's expression changed, and he immediately activated Devil Fruit's ability. Moonwalk. The speed of Sicily's footsteps was increased tenfold. During the continuous step, the sonic boom continued to sound, forcibly stopping his body. Then, Sicily quickly drew out the sword from his waist. Momo 50 times slash. What? Sicily's saber suddenly became bigger, and in the blink of an eye, it slashed down along the right hand of Zushinosuke. When Shui Shinosuke only felt his arm cold, and then, his arm holding the ice sword was cut off at some point. Under the resistance of the rush, Shui Shinosuke's right hand fell along a neat incision, tight. Then hot blood spurted out of the wound. Shui Shinosuke broke out in cold sweat and broke an arm. He couldn't even use ninjutsu, and he wanted to quickly withdraw away from this strange guy in front of him. Sicily looked at each other indifferently, and the long sword that had just fallen spun around his wrist. Advertisement. Momo 50 times pick. The long sword was lifted from the bottom up, and only a flash of light flashed from Zushinosuke. This time, Zushinosuke was directly cut in half from bottom to top. Shui Shinosuke is dead. On the top of the mountain, the patriarch of the Onido family, who was evading the attack of the pacifists while releasing a large-scale ninjutsu, noticed the situation on Yukinosuke's side, and his expression suddenly changed. In those two flashes just now, he didn't even see what was going on, and Shui Shinosuke was beheaded. When Ghost Lantern City Yu exclaimed, an arrow swept across the sky again with a sound of breaking through the air. Damn. Hydration. Ghost Lantern Chungyue looked at the extremely fast speed, almost turned into a silver arrow, and immediately the hair exploded, quickly turning the secret technique into a liquid form. And the arrow passed directly through Ghost Lantern Chungyue. Elementalization. Sicily watched helplessly as his attack passed through the opponent, and the opponent didn't have anything to do. He immediately guessed something, and his face suddenly became ugly. If the opponent is really similar to elementalization, then all his attacks will be ineffective. On the other side, Kagaya Taku also rushed to Uchimura's side again after being knocked back. This time, the bone spurs on Kagaya Takuya's body grew wildly, and he could attack any part of his body. In the face of Uchimura and dozens of Colonel Commodore's attacks, not only did he have no pressure, but he was able to do it with ease. The bone spurs are resisted. For the generals present, the attack will either fail to break Kagaya Takuya's bone spur defense, and if you touch it, you will not be able to hit Ghost City Moon. As for the pacifists, because the attack is too slow, Ghost City Moon and Kagaya Takuya pay attention, and the laser attack is not at all. Can't hit both of them. Suck. Seeing Marine and the generals being beaten, Sicily took a deep breath, then quickly ran back to his tent, and then took out a transparent jar with a purple-red liquid and a red stone in it. Momo. Twice the bow and arrow. The next moment, the bow and arrows in Sicily's hands were magnified 3 times, and the longbow was even closer to Sicily's shoulders. Sicily fixed the jar on the arrow, aimed at the distance and returned to the top of the mountain, again releasing a large-scale ninjutsu. Ghost Lantern City Moon. Chapter 84 Explosive Rock, Terrible Mighty Blast, Cough Cough. The longbow, which was more than half a person's height, was pulled by Sicily, and the sharp sound made the scalp of the person who listened to it tingled. On the hilltop in the distance, Ghost Lantern Chungyue seemed to sense something, a bad premonition that made his hairs explode. What? Subconsciously looking at the source that made him feel uneasy, Guidang Chungyu's eyes fell directly on Sicily, and when he saw a transparent jar tied to the arrow in his hand, he was immediately shocked. Escape. Suddenly alert in his heart, a voice seemed to sound in his heart. This is Guidang Chungyu's intuition. Over the years, he has relied on this experience and intuition to save him many times from death. The last time I felt this way, or the war between countries all year ago. As Sicily's bowstring was gradually tightened, Guidang Chungyu's heart became more and more uneasy, and his mind was gradually dominated by intuition. He didn't dare to hesitate anymore, and quickly left the original mountain and rushed out into the distance. Kagaya Takuya, go damn it, there's danger here. As he ran, Ghost City Tasuki did not forget to remind Takuya Kagaya, who was still suppressing Marine's generals. Dangerous. Kagaya Tuo was stunned when he heard the reminder of the Ghost Light City month, and then a bone spur suddenly grew out of his chest, forcing a Commodore back, and after using the body flicker technique to avoid the attack of a pacifist, he was dazed. Sweeping around, but did not find the source of the danger. Chungyue, what are you kidding? Can these humble guys be dangerous to us? Kagaya Takuya then sneered and said disdainfully, his eyes continued to sweep across Marine. As long as he can turn away those big guys' rays, these guys can't do any harm to him at all. Here, as the Ghost Lamp and Ghost Moon left the original position, Sicily turned to aim at Kagaya Taku, who was standing there. Sicily stood on one leg, one foot was on the bow, and both hands were clenched and hung on the bowstring. The arrow on the eldest son has been pulled into the full moon. All of you back away. Advertisement. Sicily greeted the generals who planned to continue supplying Kagaya, attracting everyone's attention. Blast Rock. Seeing the transparent container above the Sicilian arrow, a group of Marine generals suddenly exclaimed. It's Blast Rock, Sicily, you're crazy, all Marines, seek cover now. Uchimura shouted and fled quickly. After seeing clearly what Sicily had brought out, coupled with Uchimura's exclamation, those Marine generals did not dare to hesitate at all, and they all quickly withdrew, as if they had seen or heard something that made them extremely frightened. What? Kagaya was startled, looked at the bow and arrow in Sicily's hand, and glanced at the Marines who were fleeing in panic. He was already a little uneasy, and when he recalled the terrified appearance of Guidang Chungyue just now, he already had the intention to retreat. However, Sicily was unwilling to wait any longer, and let go of the arrow with both hands. Momo 50 times the rate of fire. The arrow instantly turned into an arc and shot towards Kagaya. Damn. Kagaya Tuo was shocked, exclaimed, and quickly wanted to turn around to dodge, but it was too late. His face turned cold in an instant, the bone spurs on his body grew wildly, and he raised the bone sword and slashed down towards the silver arc. Wow. The bone sword slashed at the container outside the explosive rock tied to the arrow. The arrow was cut off, the container outside the explosive rock burst instantly, and the liquid inside exploded and exploded. Ghost City Moon, who had escaped nearly 1,000 meters away, also stopped and looked in the direction of Kagaya Taku. Huh, I thought it was something. Advertisement. Seeing that it was just a strange stone, Kagaya Tuo felt relieved and said something, just about to open his mouth to mock, but found that the stone suddenly released a fiery golden flame along the gap. How? Kagaya Takuya was startled by the changing stone, screamed, and was quickly drowned by the light. The strong light flooded the entire port, and half of the main island of the Land of Water was also brightly illuminated by golden flames. Even Carden Island, which was hundreds of kilometers away, was able to detect the Seasky Junction in the distance. A golden light flashed. Zero, ask for flowers. The strong light came and went quickly, and it disappeared in the blink of an eye. It was still bright where Kagaya Takuya stood just now, and everyone could feel that at the center, a powerful force was rapidly advancing from it. The Marine generals all know the power of the explosive rock. Although they don't know what is going on behind them, they dare not stop for a while. Everyone is still fleeing frantically, and the Marines who received the order are also running quickly. Scattered, although this speed is very small compared to the explosion speed of the explosive rock. 0. Boom! It seemed that a long time had passed, and it seemed that only a moment had passed. The sound of the explosion finally remembered, and a terrifying explosion impact was also quickly released at the light source. The powerful aura was crushed directly from the light source, and wherever it passed, the stones and trees were crushed in an instant. The residents of the capital city of the Land of Water, who were still amazed at the light of the sky, immediately felt the ground shaking violently. Then, a loud noise sounded from the direction of the port, and countless people in the Land of Water were shocked by the explosion, their scalps numb, and their ears buzzed. Although the generals tried their best to move the battlefield with Kagaya Takuya as far as possible because they were worried that they might accidentally injure Marine during the previous battle with Kagaya Takuya, the power of the explosive rock is still more terrifying than they imagined. Several nearby hills were directly flattened by the explosion, and the explosion was like a giant umbrella that was quickly propped up on the ground, cleaning up everything within the range. The impact swayed through the entire port and spread to the sea. The huge warships hundreds of meters long in the port were tilted in the eyes of the impact, and 3 of them were directly overturned in the sea by the impact and the excessive inclination of the waves caused by the impact. The shock caused by the explosion spread over a kilometer in the blink of an eye, and Ghost Light City U was also stunned by this explosion. Unable to prevent it, the powerful shock rushed him out. Factory. Chapter 85 is clearly arranged. At the time of the Golden Moon, the geographical environment of the Land of Water is not very affected by the changes of the 4 seasons. The sea breeze is still blowing into the various ports of the Land of Water with a salty and moist breath. At this moment, the southeastern port of the main island of the Land of Water is indeed a scene as if the end of the world had invaded. The port is now dilapidated. In the sea outside the port, 2 marine heavy warships were overturned on the sea surface. The marines above the port were all disfigured and disheveled, and they quickly transported the wounded around. About 2 kilometers from the port to the land, there is a huge crater more than 10 meters deep and more than 500 meters in diameter. Inside the huge crater, the energy generated by the explosion was burned and turned into a charred black, like an open hell. The pupil is normal, and it is frightening to see. Sicily, who launched the 043 strike, is still in shock at the moment. No wonder His Highness requested that the Momo fruit must not be used to make it bigger, otherwise, the entire port will be destroyed. Sicily slowly regained his senses and murmured that the explosion rock was exchanged by Akira Yagyu with the last 200 million silver taels. There were only 2 in total, and it was also the last whole card Akira Yagyu gave him. If the first one can't solve the crisis, just use the Momo fruit to grow the second one to the maximum and detonate it. This is Akira Yagyu's original words, and now he finally understands the meaning of Akira Yagyu's words. If one can't solve the problem, then the second one can't be solved without Momo fruit strengthening. After seeing the power of the exploding rock with his own eyes, Sicily knew that even doubling the power would cause a devastating blow to them. Everything was arranged clearly by Akira Yagyu. Fortunately, the outcome of the battle did not require him to detonate the second one. Thousands of meters away, Gui Deng Chunyue struggled to prop up her body and looked at the huge charred Rong Keng in the distance in horror. Her bones trembled. Advertisement. No, I have to go back quickly. Gritting his teeth, Gui Deng Chunyue panicked and wanted to leave here quickly. However, he just turned around and saw 5 ninjas dressed in Cloud Shinobi Village ninja forehead protectors. Damn, seeing the 5 ninjas of the Land of Thunder suddenly appearing in front of him, Ghost Lantern City U's expression changed. The patriarch of the Ghost Lantern clan, Ghost Lantern City Moon. Among the 5 ninjas of the Land of Thunder, the leader is 3rd Reikaji's henchman, Tutai, looking at the ghost light Chunyue, said lightly. When did you come? Ghost City Moon looked gloomily at the 5 people on the opposite side. Cloud Shinobi Village's ninjutsu had a great restraining effect on the secret techniques of the Ghost Lantern family, and their Ghost Lantern family's hydration skills were like tasteless in front of these guys. It's been a long time. Tutai glanced at the huge scorched pit in the distance, and there was a flash of fear in his eyes, and then said lightly. Damn, did you even bring Jinchuriki? Ghost Lantern City U's eyes quickly swept across the 5 people on the opposite side, and suddenly fell on one of them, and his heart sank even more. That's right, the country of water makes such a big commotion, and many other countries will not look at it like this. If I guess correctly, Konoha, the country of fire must have sent people, but we have been returning, no one found them. Tutai nodded and said calmly, although the country of fire is rich in resources and powerful, but the country of thunder, as a country with 2-tailed beasts, Jinchuriki, after more than 10 years of recuperation after World War II, its current strength is unprecedented, powerful. Advertisement. While talking, the 5 people from Tutai quickly surrounded Ghost Lantern City U. Ghost Lantern City U took a look at a few people, then silently and quickly raised his handprint. He wasn't about to fight, he was about to run away. He just fought with Marine on Cardin Island. He had already consumed a lot of chakra, and he was caught off guard by being caught off guard. The explosion spread, and now he faces 5 elite Jonin, including a tailed beast, Jinchuriki, and now he has no chance of winning. Quick fight, don't get the attention of those Kaiden Marines. Tutai noticed Gaidongchunyu's movements, calmly said a sentence, and quickly rushed towards Gaidongchunyue. After the others heard the order, they all quickly started to zero. The power of the explosion just now is still in everyone's heart, and it is impossible for any of them to resist the explosion. Although he really wanted to get the thing that exploded just now and bring it back to study, he was not sure where he would survive the explosion. Even Bubby, who was 8 Tails Jinchuriki, would probably not be able to resist the explosion just now. Not long after, Marine, who was cleaning up the battlefield, was suddenly attracted by a sound of thunder in the distance. I took 2 pacifists to see. The only Sicily who was not affected by the explosion looked up and glanced at the clear sky. The few clouds in the sky were also shaken by the explosion just now. He immediately guessed that there might be a battle in the distance, and said immediately for the sake of safety. When he brought 2 less damaged pacifists to the place where Ghost City Moon had just fought against 5 ninjas from the Land of Thunder, he found that the place had been scorched black by lightning, but no one was seen, and he observed again. After a while, after confirming that no one was there, he went back immediately. When he shot the explosive rock just now, although he had already reminded Uchimura and other generals, the explosion was too fast, and it still affected them. Although it was not life-threatening, it was impossible to fight again in a short time. Fortunately, Ghost Lantern City was frightened and ran away, otherwise, if you do it again, no one will restrain it, and you may really use the explosive rock to perish with the other party. Facing the siege of the 5 endurances of the Kingdom of Thunder, Gaidon Shunyue finally knew that she could not escape, and finally directly detonated her last chakra. In the paralysis of the thunder and lightning, she forcibly destroyed her body, leaving no trace for the Kingdom of Thunder. Information that can be used. As for the people in the Kingdom of Thunder, there was no way to stop them. They were quasi-cage level self-destruction in full force. Seeing Ghost Lantern City you died, they left immediately. They must report what happened here today as soon as possible. Chapter 86 Kirigakure summons. Kirigakure. Mizukage-sama, over there at the port. Ching rushed into Mizukage's office, shouted anxiously, and immediately froze before he finished speaking. Water, Mizukage, my lord. Ao hurriedly came to 3rd Mizukage's side, looking at 3rd Mizukage who was lying on the table and was silent. Ao's voice trembled a little. Raising her hand, Ao slowly touched 3rd Mizukage's arteries with her fingers. Hiss. Ching immediately took a breath of cold air. Mizukage's heart had stopped beating, and the corpse had cooled down. Apparently it had been dead for a long time. Mizukage-sama is dead. Looking blankly at 3rd Mizukage's corpse, Ching only felt that the world was spinning for a while. Now Kirigakure's top combat power has been lost, and even Lord Mizukage is gone. If the ninja villages in other countries know about it, then for Kirigakure, it must be wiped out. Disaster. Thinking of Kirigakure's fate if other villages knew that Kirigakure Mizukage was dead, Ao couldn't help feeling terrified. Every village has its own secrets, and the reason why rebellion and forbearance is hunted down is to prevent the secrets of their own village and escape techniques from being cracked by other countries. That is the background of each country and the village itself. He can already imagine the scene where the villagers in the village are divided up by other countries for experiments. No, we must find a way to protect the village. Ji gritted his teeth and made a decision immediately. The next day, on a boat, Guangming entered Cardin Island. The Kirigakure people. Seeing Ching getting off the boat alone and noticing his ninja forehead protector, Pen's face sank. Your Excellency, please don't get me wrong, I'm not here to make trouble. On behalf of Kirigakure, I hope to make peace with the Lord of Cardin Island. Seeing Marine surrounded by loaded bullets, Ching raised her hands and said loudly. Harmony. Quadruple A. What tricks do you ninjas want? Pen sneered, not believing his words at all. I, Kirigakure, can give up all resistance, please let me meet the Lord. Advertisement. Seeing that Pen didn't believe in himself at all, Ching also became anxious and said quickly. Kindness. Pen hesitated, but still refused to believe Ching. Looking at Gong Peng's appearance, Ching gritted his teeth. Water-style water cut. Ching quickly raised his handprint, and a stream of water rose from the side. What you up to? Pen's face sank, and he drew out his sword. What? As soon as the water blade moved, it quickly cut through, but it slid across Ching's hands. Hiss. Ching sucked in a breath of cold air, and his 2 arms were chopped off by his own water blade. Seeing Ching actually injuring himself, Pen frowned. That's all right, please let me see your lord. Ching Chang endured the pain in his arms, his forehead was covered with beads of sweat, and with a trembling voice, he pleaded with Pen. Let me ask you a question. Looking at Ching's miserable appearance, Pen frowned and nodded solemnly. A ninja had his arms cut off and could not use ninjutsu. This guy cut off his arms in order to prove that he would not hurt Akira Yagyu. This is a life-threatening blow for any ninja. Looking at Ching, who was so determined at a young age, it should have been under 30 years old at the time, Pen also gave him a high look. Kirigakure came to ask for peace. Akira Yagyu was stunned, and was a little surprised by the news that worker Pen told him. I think it's better to see you first. If Kirigakure is really sincere, it will be a good thing for us. We are still lacking in ninjutsu analysis. The crane next to him also heard Pen's report. When Akira Yagyu was in trouble, he suddenly said, since the other party has already cut off his arms, there is no need to worry about the other party's conspiracy. Hearing Suru's suggestion, Akira Yagyu also nodded. Advertisement. After a while, Ching was brought into the Marine base office and saw the young face of Akira Yagyu sitting at the front, Just like those who had seen Akira Yagyu before, she was a little surprised that Akira Yagyu was so young. What do you want to talk to me about? Looking at Ching's severed arms that had been bandaged, Akira Yagyu asked indifferently. We Kirigakure can drop all resistance. After losing too much blood, Ching's face was still a little pale, but she said seriously. Give up resistance? Even if you don't give up resistance, I have the ability to destroy the entire Kirigakure, you go on. Akira Yagyu nodded and continued to ask, we're hoping to keep Kirigakure. When Ching heard Akira Yagyu's plain words, his heart also twitched, but he immediately said calmly. Why make peace with me? If your whole village moves to other places, I shouldn't stop you. Akira Yagyu's eyes jumped, and he asked his doubts. As he said, if Kirigakure directly released 043 abandoned water country, it would save him from attacking, and he would definitely not send troops to stop it. Akira Yagyu had such doubts, and Ching had no idea. Lord 3rd Mizukage, he is dead. After hesitating for a while, Ching suddenly said with gritted teeth. Kindness? Akira Yagyu's eyes widened, and everyone else was staring at Ao. Does it from Konoha? Or from Cloud Shinobi Village? Akira Yagyu pondered and continued to ask, the country of water is only bordered by the country of thunder and the country of fire. Other than the two countries, other countries should not come and kill a Kirigakure shadow on their own. I don't know, there is no sign of a fight, and it seems that Mizukage-sama has been dead for a long time. It should have been someone pretending to be Mizukage-sama all along. Ching shook his head bitterly, then gritted his teeth and said, at the same time there was some fear, and he died without a trace of battle. This is not an ordinary person suffering from a heart attack or something. What a joke, 3rd Mizukage is dead. You guys don't even know who did it, has been arranged by the murderer. Hearing Ao's words, Kitano Ichiro jumped up immediately, with a look of disbelief. Did everyone in Kirigakure live on dogs? Chapter 87. Ching's surrender, you said that Mizukage guy died? Suddenly, on the side, when I heard that Kirigakure was going to beg for peace, the Ghost Lamp and Ghost Moon, who had been parked for a while, suddenly made a sound. Ah, Ghost Moon. You're still alive. Not only Mizukage-sama, but if I'm not mistaken, Patriarch Chungyue should also be dead. Ching was stunned when she heard the familiar voice, and looked at it subconsciously, startled. Of course I'm alive. Gaidong Guewi rolled his eyes and said dissatisfiedly. You're still alive. What about the rest? Ching breathed a sigh of relief, sighed, and then hurriedly asked. Everyone else. All dead. Gaidong Guewi said lightly, in his current opinion, the people in Kirigakure are all people who are against justice, and there is nothing worth saying. All dead. Ching was startled, and secretly sighed a few times. Although he had already guessed it, he still couldn't believe it. You said that 3rd Mizukage is dead, then you come to seek peace now. It should be a ninja village in other countries. Akira Yagyu heard that 3rd Mizukage was dead, and immediately guessed why Kirigakure was rushing to make peace. Yes, your lord is wise, and now the top fighting power of Kirigakure has been lost, and now Lord 3rd Generation has also died. If the ninja villages of other countries know, Kirigakure will definitely be divided up at the first time, and those in Kirigakure have not yet grown up by then. The ninjas and the villagers who rise up will have a terrible fate, so on behalf of Kirigakure, I want to be blessed by the Lord. Advertisement Ching knew that his secret could not be hidden, so he simply said frankly. After speaking, he raised his head and looked straight at Akira Yagyu, with hope in his eyes. In his opinion, Akira Yagyu's strength is enough to be jealous of other families in the ninja village. I can protect you, but Kirigakure can no longer stay. You must surrender to join my marine troops, Long. Akira Yagyu thought for a moment, then said suddenly. This. Hearing Yagyu's request, Ching suddenly hesitated. If they surrendered, then they are likely to be used arbitrarily by Akira Yagyu, or directly used as a gunner, and the future is uncertain. This is the choice I gave you. Now you don't even have Mizukage anymore. Even if you offer up the secrets in your village, Konoha will never let you go. Akira Yagyu saw Ching's hesitation, and didn't rush him, but said calmly, he just wanted to force Ching to make a decision. Originally, he planned to get some money, then change the target fruit, put a few of the prisoners of Kirigakure back, and use it directly. The blast rock flattened Kirigakure's, and now he's changed his mind. After hearing Akira Yagyu's words, Ching's face suddenly sank, and he now regrets coming to Akira Yagyu. It can be realized that it is too late to regret now. Akira Yagyu has already heard the news of the death of Kirigakure 3rd Mizukage, and it seems that Gilon Guewi has surrendered to Akira Yagyu, although Akira Yagyu has given him the opportunity to choose, but he has no idea at all. If he chooses, even if he does not surrender, Akira Yagyu will immediately attack Kirigakure. He didn't know what the shock at the harbor was, but the patriarchs of the three families did not return, and Marines still occupied the harbor, which was enough to show that those explosions must have come from the hands of Akira Yagyu. With Kirigakure's current strength, there is no the iron hoofs of the soldiers who might have resisted Akira Yagyu. I promise you. With a sigh, Ching lost all his strength in an instant, and it was difficult to sit on the ground, staring blankly at the ground in front of him. He didn't know whether it was right or wrong for him to surrender. He could only do it. This time was like a nightmare. He had experienced too many things that were difficult for him to accept. Originally, it was fine when Mizukage was there. Even if it wasn't a real Mizukage, he could still report the matter. Everything had to be decided by Mizukage-sama. Mizukage the longest he decides on his own. Advertisement. The momentum is magnificent. This time it is only my decision to come out. Other people don't know that I came to see you, but please give me time. I will definitely persuade them to surrender. After a pause, Ao suddenly spoke in a tense tone, for fear that Akira Yagyu would not give him a chance to finish and attack Kirigakure directly. Crocodile, Virgo, you too, go back to Kirigakure with him. If you don't surrender, just kill them. If you don't agree, kill them all. Akira Yagyu raised his eyebrows when he heard Qing's words and then ordered. Your Highness. Qing shuddered and said quickly, but Akira Yagyu gave him a look back. Wait, I'll go too. As a member of the Ghost Lantern family, if the Patriarch dies, I should be able to directly make them surrender. Beside, Gaidong Guewi suddenly interjected and took the initiative to stand up and say. Akira Yagyu frowned when he heard Gaidong Gueyu's words and looked at the crane. This guy was washed by the crane. Although he has peace and justice in his heart, will he be brainwashed by others? Let him go. He is affected by Lao Shen's ability to wash fruit. Where is Lao, or Zhao? There is absolute justice. He will not have a problem. Crane understood what Akira Yagyu meant, nodded, and assuredly patted his chest. Okay, then the three of you will go to Kirigakure together. Akira Yagyu nodded, pondering to herself, still thinking of finding time to throw Ghost Lantern Ghost Moon and Kirigakure's people to Marine College for a week for further study. Now Kirigakure is like fish that was just put on the cutting board, and even though Qing is reluctant, he can only do as Akira Yagyu says. At this moment, with the top weapons and devil fruit brought from Akira Yagyu, as well as the phone bug, and Luo Sha's strength is enough, the name of the Kingdom of Wind came forward in person, and the right to use it was directly appoint Luosha as the Wind Shadow of Sunagakure, the Land of Wind. Chapter 88 The Shock of Kirigakure, the Land of Water, outside Kirigakure. Is that Kirigakure in front? Standing on a hillside, please take Virgo and the three to look ahead, Crocodile asked lightly. The village in front was surrounded by a large river and surrounded by large and small lakes, making Crocodile uncomfortable. That's right, Kirigakure is ahead, I'll let me know first. Qing nodded and then planned to jump off the hillside. Let's go with you, as you are now. There is nothing against you, but there is nothing you can do. Virgo said something, causing Qing's body to tremble. Oh well, nodding his head, Qing didn't want to refuse, and he quickly appeared at the entrance of the village with a rush all the way. Captain Qing, where have you been? Send, Mr. Ghost Moon, you're back too. When they just arrived at the entrance of the village, the two ninjas who were in charge of guarding the entrance of the village immediately greeted them. When they saw Ghost Moon appear, the two of them were surprised, and one of them asked excitedly. Because Ao was wearing a cloak, the two ninjas did not see that Ao had lost both arms. Yes, Mr. Ghost Moon, you are back. Have the rebels in Carden Island been wiped out? By the way, who are these two? What about the others? The other 047 guards also asked with the same excitement and compliance. They glanced back and found that there was no one else except Crocodile and Virgo. The other people are dead. These two are the bodyguards of the Lord of Carden Island. Gaidong Guewi said lightly and walked in with the three of them. What? All dead? With two guards from the Lords of Carden. The two Kirigakure ninja guards looked at the four who entered the village and looked at each other in disbelief. I didn't expect that Mr. Ghost Moon also likes to joke. It seems that he attacked Carden Island and found something good. Advertisement regarding the words of Gaidong and Guewi, the two of them didn't believe it at all. Instead, they thought that Gaidong and Guewi was joking, so they didn't think much about it. Dang 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 dang. Kirigakure passed the square not far from the village entrance, and a bell rang. This is the assembly bell, which usually only rings when Mizukage-sama summons the whole village. The bell rang, and everyone in the village put down what they were doing and gathered at the entrance of the village with doubts. The ninja guards at the entrance of the two villages heard the bell ringing, and they also confirmed their guesses even more. Send, Uncle Ghost Moon, you are back. Carden Island is broken? Seeing the figure of Gaidong Guewi, Gaidong Wuyue saw the figure of Gaidong Guewi below, and immediately asked with a look of joy. Wuyue, don't talk. Guidong Wuyue's voice just fell, and was suddenly stopped by a person beside him. Send. It turned out to be the ones who killed each other back then. Crocodile raised his head and looked at the man, and found that the one who stopped the voice was the ghost Tianyue, one of the 7 people who attacked the Lord's mansion. You, Qing, what's going on? Why do people from Carden Island appear here? Ghost-eyed Tianyu's expression changed, pointing at Crocodile, and suddenly asked towards Qing. People from Carden Island. Hearing Gaidong Tianyu's words, the faces of the ninjas below suddenly changed, and they subconsciously dispersed around. At the entrance of the village, the two guards who had originally intended to listen to Mizukage coming out to announce the good news were shocked when they heard Ghost Tianyu's question, and looked at each other in disbelief. I brought them here. Gaidong Guewi looked at Gaidong Tianyue calmly, with a faint kaido. Guewi, what happened to you, Qing? Did you betray Kirigakure too? I want to see Mizukage-sama. Guidong Tianyue was stunned for a moment, then immediately asked with annoyance, and for a while, AFBDJ, the entire square was in chaos. Tian Yu, calm down first, everyone listen to me. Advertisement. Seeing that the ghost lamp Tien Ueda wanted to break the casserole and ask to the end, Ching hurriedly stopped. Mizukage-sama is dead. Seeing the scene quiet down, Ching took a deep breath and said sadly. Buzz. Hearing Ching's words, all the ninja villagers in the audience were in an uproar, and countless people looked at Ching in horror. What? Did you collude with Cardin Island? Gui Dang Tianyu's eyes widened and she stared at Ching blankly. He didn't doubt Ching's words, he knew Ching's person, and even if Ching betrayed them, he wouldn't lie to them. I have no such thing. Ching sighed, his face a little dejected. Yesterday, Lord Mizukage asked me to inform the 3 chiefs of the Wei Yoruichi clan, the Snow clan, and the Ghost Lamp clan to go to the port to perform a mission, but the 3 chiefs failed their mission. It turns out that someone pretending to be Mizukage-sama has been running the village for a long time. Green sighed, and a sad tone filled the entire village square. But, then you can't collude with Cardin Island, they killed so many of us, you. Everyone in the audience was full of grief. Mizukage had not been seen for such a long time. It must have been as Ao said. Ghost Tianyue continued to question. Master Mizukage died, and the 3 patriarchs died. To put it bluntly, there are only a few Jonin left in the village. Do you think that after this news spreads, do we still have a way to survive in Kirigakure? Ching said with a sad expression. The village quickly became quiet, and they all understood the threat of neighboring countries to the land of water and Kirigakure. So, I decided to bring Kirigakure to surrender to Kaden. After straightening her face, Ching stood up straight and said with a serious face. Her voice was loud and without too much emotion. The news was so shocking that everyone felt a little confused. Damn it, you really are a traitor. Hearing Ching's words behind, Guidong Tianyu, whose face had just softened, screamed again. The Ghost Lamp clan, the patriarch died. I declare as the highest elder of the Ghost Lamp clan, the Ghost Lamp clan surrenders to His Highness Akira Yagyu of Kaden Island, and those who disobey will be expelled from the Ghost Lamp clan. As soon as Guidong Tianyu's voice fell, Guidong Guiyu's voice sounded immediately. Chapter 89 Auto-generated chapter title. The 89th chapter is all killed. What? The Ghost Lantern clan was stunned when they heard it, and looked at the Ghost Lantern and Ghost Moon in disbelief. Ghost Moon, what's wrong with you? Guidong Tianyu looked at Guidong Guiyu incredulously. He never thought that one day, Guidong and Guiyu would bring his own tribe to seek refuge with others. Do you have an opinion? Guidong Guiyu raised her head, looked at Guidong Tianyu, and asked lightly. Don't dare, it's just them. Shut up if you don't mind. Guidong Guiyu snorted coldly and directly blocked the words behind Guidong Tianyu. In his heart, Guidong Guiyu was also secretly relieved. Although he now firmly believes in justice and insists on following Akira Yagyu, he does not want his ethnic group to be slaughtered. He also guessed that if he does not come back, there will definitely be people who will oppose him, so he came here. He knew that Akira Yagyu must have also been at that time. Guessed what he was thinking. The Ghost Lantern clan, unless they have the strength to overwhelm the clan, will all be led by their elders. It just so happens that Ghost City Moon died, and Ghost Lantern Shenyu also died in the Kingdom of the Sea. As a descendant of the second Mizukage Ghost Lantern Huan Yu, Ghost Lantern Moon is also the descendant of Ghost Lantern Wan Yu. It is the strongest of the Ghost Lantern clan at present, and all members of the Ghost Lantern clan need to obey his arrangement. All the members of the Ghost Lamp clan, all go back to Pac now, and we will relocate to Cardin Island tomorrow. Guidong and Guiyu ate and drank, and all the members of the Ghost Lantern clan immediately left the square, leaving other clan members to look at each other in dismay. Seeing that the Ghost Lantern clan first surrendered, and the other ninjas looked at me one by one, and I looked at you, they were all a little overwhelmed. The news came so suddenly that they didn't have time to prepare. Ching, do you really think that Mizukage-sama is dead and you are the boss of Kirigakure? Suddenly, a voice came out, which made the Kirigakure ninja who was hesitant at first stunned for a moment. When he looked up, he found that the Watermelon Mountain Puffer Ghost and Wooly Jinba were looking at Ching in the distance. You too. Ching's face sank. He has always been worried that the arrogant guys from the 7 ninja swordsmen will come out to make trouble. Guidong Guiyu just got Guidong Tianyu away, but unexpectedly, the other 2 jumped out immediately. Advertisement. How did we get it? You were willing to be someone else's minion, and give the whole Kirigakure to others as a gift. I said it right. Wooly Jinba had a cold face. He didn't care what would happen to Kirigakure when Mizukage died, he only knew that if he surrendered to others, he would rather be a traitor. What do you think? Do you want Konoha and the people from Cloud Shinobi Village to capture all the people from Kirigakure back for research? Ching also had a cold face. He knew that these 2 guys were trying to get along with him. What do you want? Let us both see your strength. You have been with Mizukage-sama for so long and you want to speak on behalf of Kirigakure, then let us see. The Watermelon Mountain Puffer Ghost raised Samahata with one hand, pointed at Ching and said. Hearing the words of the 2, the Kirigakure villagers who were hesitant at first immediately raised their heads and looked at Ching, waiting for Ching to fight. If Ching can defeat them, then they will choose to surrender without hesitation. Damn. Ching looked at the ninjas and the villagers below, and his face was extremely ugly. If it was the heyday, he would not be afraid of the provocation of the 2, but now that his arms have been lost, it can be said that he is a waste. How to fight them? What? You don't dare. You really want to use the entire Kirigakure as a bargaining chip to please your new owner. The Watermelon Mountain Puffer Ghost sneered, and his words were full of ridicule. What's the matter with the two guys? Just when Ching was in trouble, Crocodile's voice sounded. The next moment, the wind and sand suddenly rose, and the crocodile appeared directly in front of Chishan Pufferfish. Boom. This is Kurigakure, you can't do anything to us. Seeing Crocodile who suddenly appeared in front of him, the Watermelon Mountain Puffer Ghost was taken aback and said quickly, but Crocodile, no matter what he said, put his hand on his chest. Arost Samsara. 0. Ask for flowers. Crocodile sneered aloud. The Watermelon Mountain Puffer Fish only felt that the water in his body was rapidly draining, but his body seemed to be tied to Crocodile's palm and could not break free. Help me. Advertisement. The Watermelon Mountain Puffer Ghost looked at the Kurigakure ninja and exclaimed. A few Chunin heard it, and immediately planned to rush up. Tempest Kick. Multiple feet. A few people just made a move. Virgo's voice sounded immediately, and a few Tempest Kick air blades immediately divided those people into two halves. Looking at the fate of those few people, everyone was panicked, and no one dared to move casually. It was only then that the puffer fish reacted. It seems that the strong people above Chunin in Kurigakure have already been killed by the people of Carden Island. 0. The rest now are some Chunin and Genin. Originally, he thought that these Carden Island guys would be afraid of Kurigakure's ninjas and would not dare to do it easily. Now that he thinks about it, Kurigakure doesn't seem to have anyone who can threaten them now. Beside him, Susan Kushiwan was also stunned, and then he immediately took out his long knife to, sewing a needle, and chopped it at Crocodile. Do not. Iron body. Fall. The long knife fell and slashed into Virgo's arms, but there was a metallic sound. Scare. Where did those Kurigakure ninjas have seen Virgo's strength, and when they heard the sound of the knife, Virgo's arms were intact, and they were all taken aback. Finger pistol. Taking advantage of the surprise of Li Sanchuanwan, Virgo slammed back the long knife of Sanchuanwan in the future, and then a finger pistol pierced Li Sanchuanwan's heart directly before Li Sanchuanwan could reach it. And here, the water of the puffer fish ghost body was also absorbed by Crocodile, and it turned into a black-brown mummy in the blink of an eye. How? These people don't seem to cooperate, or let me kill all these guys. Crocodile said. The land in the square at the entrance of the village cracked and turned into sand in an instant, quicksand surging, and the legs of the people on the square began to sink rapidly. Factory, Chapter 90. The daimyo suddenly arrives. What? The Kurigakure ninjas and the villagers in the square saw that Crocodile killed the Watermelon Mountain pufferfish in a very strange way, and then aimed at them again, and they all panicked. Ah, I surrender. My Shui clan surrenders. My Gudian clan surrenders. NS, surrender. A series of exclamations suddenly sounded in the square, and everyone seemed to be afraid that they would be the next pufferfish. No problem. Don't worry, you two, I can handle it. The corner of Ching's mouth twitched, and he said quickly, sure enough, the threat of death is much more effective than his persuasion. No one wanted to face Crocodile's murderous appearance, and everyone rushed to go home and prepare to pack up. If you don't surrender, as Ching said, you may end up badly, but if you don't surrender now, you will definitely be killed immediately. Captain Ching, outside, Your Excellency, the great name of the land of water is here. Just as the people had just dispersed and Ching Jung didn't know how to entertain Crocodile and Virgo, one of the two guards outside the door suddenly ran over. Big name. Ching was stunned, and before she wanted to say anything, she saw a group of people at the entrance of the village walking and carrying caged robbers. The whole body of the cage is light blue, and the surrounding area is covered with gold. The lace is made of lace. The cage is very strong. There is probably a house laughing. Each has the strength of a special jonin, and the ninja village specializes in protecting the daimyo, and the daimyo in other major countries also have such treatment. At the end, there were more than 100 warriors who followed. All of them were first-class warriors in the country, even if they were against Chunin. It's really a big name. Seeing the four familiar faces of ninjas, Ao nodded, in response to Virgo and Crocodile's inquiries. Advertisement. As soon as Ching finished speaking, he only felt a flash in front of his eyes. Virgo and Crocodile appeared on the front and back of the cage, respectively. The sudden appearance of Virgo and Crocodile shocked the warriors who carried the cage, and their footsteps were a little flustered, almost toppling the cage. Ah. The four ninjas who specialized in protecting the daimyo pulled out their ninja tools in an instant, and those samurai also pulled out their long swords and looked at the two of them cautiously. Who are you? How dare you block daimyo's way? Looking at Crocodile in front of him, one of the ninjas asked in a deep voice. They had never seen Crocodile and Virgo before, and they were suddenly puzzled. We are the bodyguards of His Highness Akira Yagyu of Carden Island. Crocodile grinned and said lightly, ignoring the horrified eyes of everyone. What happened? A voice came from the cage, and then the current daimyo of the land of water stuck his head out of the cage and asked impatiently. His Royal Highness, yes, it was the Lord of Carden Island who blocked us. The ninja frowned and replied in a deep voice. Carden Island. Akira Yagyu, that guy's man. Hearing the ninja's report, daimyo shivered violently, looked forward quickly, and found that Crocodile was slowly fiddling with the sand in his hand. Are you a master of sand control under that guy Akira Yagyu? Looking at the sand in Crocodile's hand, daimyo thought of something, and immediately asked in surprise and joy. Send. Yes, why are you so happy? Aren't you afraid of being killed by us? Crocodile looked at the other party with excellence, and did not understand why the other party was so happy after knowing his identity, but at this moment it aroused the idea of playing cats and mice. Advertisement. I'm afraid, of course I'm afraid, but don't your excellency feel that following a mere lord is a bit underpowered? What did he give you, Akira Yagayu? I'll give you 10 times. The name of the country of water showed a refined smile. He had already heard the news that Crocodile could kill Jonin. His own safety has always been the responsibility of the ninjas of Kurigakure, but he could not help himself with some private affairs. If he could win Crocodile over, that is really the Ninja Zero under his own hands. Wow. Crocodile laughed immediately. Facing the big name, he didn't know how to answer. He simply stopped playing with the sand, and the sand instantly spun into a small whirlwind in his hand. How? Think about it, and if I can recommend you as a senior advisor to Kurigakure. Looking at Crocodile, the daimyo continued to make an offer. In his opinion, a ninja who did not belong to a village would be the easiest to win over. That, Your Excellency Daimyo, we, Kurigakure, declared our surrender to Carden Island long before you arrived. Ching, who was beside him, couldn't stand it any longer, and immediately said with an embarrassed expression. As soon as Ao's words fell, the two ninjas at the entrance of the village immediately took out kunai and blocked the road at the entrance of the village. What? A series of amazed sounds rang out, and even the famous name of the land of water was stunned. Several ninjas who were responsible for protecting the daimyo of the country of water glanced at each other, turned against each other in an instant, and looked at the samurai. If Mist Shinobi surrendered to the village of Kaden Island, then they would no longer have to perform the task of protecting the daimyo. 13 Now the daimyo, it was their enemy, and the surrounding atmosphere suddenly became eerie. How is that possible? Damn, you guys actually want to betray the land of water. Where's Mizukage? Where's the third generation guy? Let him come out. I want to see him. I want him to tell me face to face. The name of the water country's face was ashen, and he immediately roared. A village directly betrayed the country. This is something that has never been heard of before. Sorry, Mizukage-sama is dead. He curled his lips, and he no longer had the respect he used to respect the daimyo of the country of water. Even if the daimyo didn't come here today, the country of water has no strength to resist Akira Yagayu's attack. As long as Akira Yagayu is willing, the waters the country can change hands tomorrow. Chapter 91 The land of water changes owners. In Kurigakure, all the ninja villagers of Kurigakure are busy, packing their luggage. Outside, it was dead silence, and not even a single bird had ever passed by. How is that possible? You said third Mizukage is dead. It's absolutely impossible. How could Mizukage be dead? Daimyo was stunned when he heard this, his eyes widened, and he looked at Ching with confirmation. Even the ninjas whose clothes were in charge of protecting the daimyo were terrified. A village without cage level would be a blow to Kurigakure. Suddenly, Daimyo noticed Crocodile's malicious gaze in front of him, and immediately became nervous. Damn, you must be lying to me, right, you must be lying to me, that guy is Mizukage, who can kill him, what do you bastards in Kurigakure do? How could the third generation die? I have no news at all. The daimyo almost fell into madness, his face was blue and white, and he pointed at Ching and said, in the face of death, his cards have been lost, and he could not maintain his original composure. Quick, protect the daimyo and retreat. The samurai in charge of the escort saw that things could no longer be changed, and immediately gave a low voice. All the samurai moved instantly, and immediately clenched their long knives and rushed towards Virgo and Crocodile respectively. They are all die-hard loyalists in the daimyo mansion, and they will obey any orders of each daimyo from generation to generation. Assist the two guards from Carden Island to capture the daimyo of the land of water alive. Looking at the daimyo of the land of water who fled like a cage in panic, Ching said loudly. Call. Advertisement. As the voice of Ching fell, the few special Jonins just wanted to act, but were stopped by the sandstorm of Crocodile. A sandstorm with about one person and a strong wind appeared in front of Crocodile, and the four ninjas were startled and quickly dispersed. Those warriors who rushed towards Crocodile were instantly sucked in, and then, the land under the feet of everyone turned into flowing yellow sand at some point, and all the warriors who were sucked in were quickly swallowed by the quicksand. Behind the cage, Virgo was bloodier. Marine 6 styles were used one after another. The bamboo tube seemed to weigh 10,000 caddies. Every time it fell, the warriors were knocked and smashed to pieces. Almost just a few breaths, the more than 100 warriors and bearers brought by the name of the first-class swordsmen were all eliminated, except for one captain, who escaped and resisted the serious injury of Penny Penny. Afterwards, it was cut in half by a tempest kick hit by Virgo. The next moment, Crocodile's eyes fell on the cage, and with a show of his hands, Huang Sha immediately wrapped the cage. Wait, don't kill him, sir. Ao looked at Crocodile as if he was going to kill Daimyo directly, and immediately shouted to stop it. Crocodile was stunned, and with a swipe of his right hand, a huge palm of yellow sand formed and aimed at Ching. If Ching couldn't give him a good explanation, he wouldn't mind taking this troublemaker out of the way. Seeing Crocodile's actions, Ao's heart twitched, and if he could, he wouldn't want to be with this kind of guy who didn't hesitate to move his hands. He is the name of the country of water, and it can be said that he is the spiritual pillar of the country of water. If he kills him now, the whole country will be plunged into turmoil. It is better for us to capture the islands and cities of the country of water in advance, and wait until the arrival of His Royal Highness. If you execute them in person, you can also directly calm the hearts of the people in the country. Qing knew that he had to make an explanation as soon as possible, so he said it immediately. Boom. As soon as Qing's voice fell, the cage shin, which was wrapped in yellow sand, shattered in an instant, and the yellow sand poured down, revealing the fearful name of the country of water inside. Advertisement. The 4 special Jonins who were originally in charge of protecting the daimyo looked at everything in front of them, and then looked at the Kurigakure villagers who were busy packing things in the depths of the village. Real. You guys also go to clean up. In 3 days, I will go to Carden Island. When the time comes, the 4 of you will go with the 2 gentlemen and the army of Carden Island to conquer the cities of the land of water. Qing Shin sighed. He and the people of Kurigakure have experienced a lot personally, so they know a lot, and it's no surprise. But these guys have been protecting the daimyo at the daimyo mansion. They don't know anything about what happened outside, except that the harbor was occupied. Now they suddenly returned to the village and heard that Kurigakure surrendered and Mizukage died. Such a blow is not a blow. Anyone can quickly slow down God. Yes. Hearing that they had a new mission, the 4 Kurigakure ninjas immediately stood side by side behind Crocodile and Virgo. The news that the daimyo of the land of water was taken prisoner, Virgo immediately passed it back to Carden Island, and proposed Qing's idea, which was immediately agreed and supported by Akira Yagyu, originally 32 warships. It was overturned due to the last explosion of the rock, and it has now been sent back to Kaden for overhaul. The 2 ninjas and the people who were responsible for picking up Kurigakure have only left 10 in the harbor for backup, and all the others have been sent out to conquer the cities. 3 days passed in a flash, and 30,000 Kurigakure ninjas and ordinary villagers all relocated to Kaden Island one after another on 2 warships distributed by the port army. And in these 3 days, Virgo's side also successfully recovered the cities. Now the entire water country has completely fallen into Marine's control. At the same time, Akira Yagyu's letterhead was passed to all countries in the world by Hibiki Ninja, inviting all countries to come and watch the takeover ceremony 5 days later. For a time, all countries in the world had their own thoughts on Akira Yagyu's invitation, and undercurrents were surging, and many ninja troops from various countries had secretly taken the lead in going to the capital of the country of water. Since Chapter 92 designates the recruitment of Admiral Kizaru. Carden Island, as the most frontier island in the southeast of the land of water, used to have few people coming and going except for the merchant ships of the land of the sea. Sparsely populated and at the border, people have become accustomed to the tranquility that can only be changed on weekdays except by going out to sea. However, recently, due to the arrival of Kurigakure ninjas, Kaden Island has also become very lively, especially the residents of Kaden Island. In this remote island, they have never seen ninjas a few times. Now I heard that His Royal Highness the Lord not only did they capture the country of water, but also moved the entire Kurigakure to Carden Island, which made the people of Carden Island extremely excited. Really? Is it so powerful? Tell us again, Lord Marine, how did they defeat the armies of the Water Nation? Hey, haven't I said it 3 times? However, since you want to hear it, I'll say it again. At that time, the country of water had 1,000,000 troops and thousands of warships. That guy really it is a sea of people, the blue flag, the flag of the country of water, is fluttering, the drums of war are loud, and the artillery is blaring. The Lord is not afraid at all, but with a wave of his hand, a 1,000-meter-high tsunami rises on the sea, and in the blink of an eye, submerged half of the warships in the land of water. Akira Yagyu conquered the land of water, and the people on Kaden Island were the happiest. Countless people dragged Marine, who had returned from the main island of the land of water, to constantly inquire about Marine's great achievements in the battle against the land of water. After Marine captured the cities in the land of water, he first brought the material and wealth of the cities back to Carden Island. It took 15 warships to transport them for 2 days. His Royal Highness, this is the details of the property brought back by the cities of the water country and the capital. Virgo came to Akira Yagyu and handed over the statistics of the property to Akira Yagyu as soon as possible. Ding. Congratulations to host for his wealth. 185 billion taels, a long time. Ding. Congratulations to host's accumulated wealth of more than 100 billion. Unlock achievements. Money is just a number, and the number of random draws will be rewarded by 1. Ding. Congrats to host for completing the mission, Chaos of Great Powers. Get mission rewards. Random Marine Admiral Designated Recruitment Order 1, Advanced World Recruitment Order 1, Random Draw Times 1, Marine 6 Styles Package Intermediate, *1, Conqueror's Hockey Advanced Package 1. Ding. Marine Admiral's Designated Recruitment Order is randomly selected. Ding. Congratulations to host for obtaining the Marine Admiral Designated Recruitment Order. Marine Admiral Kizaru Pelusalino Designated Recruitment Order. Advertisement. Ding. Congrats to host for getting and successfully learning Marine 6 Styles Intermediate. Ding. Congratulations to host for getting Conqueror's Hockey Advanced Pack and using it. Ding. Congrats to the host who has advanced from Conqueror's Hockey to Intermediate Conqueror's Hockey. Host. Akira Yagyu. Race. Human. Dao Strength. 2260. Abilities. Intermediate Conqueror's Hockey, Intermediate Observation Hockey, Intermediate Armament Hockey, Return of Life. Skills. 36 Troubled Winds, King's Fist, Intermediate Marine 6 Styles. Marine Mall, 185 billion. Marine Reputation, 6,120. Marine Special Buildings, Marine Base Building, Marine Academy, Marine Technology Center. A series of prompt sounds made Akira Yagyu extremely excited. When he closed his eyes, Akira Yagyu only felt that Marine 6 Styles was directly imprinted in his mind. Even after learning the intermediate Marine 6 Styles, Akira Yagyu can clearly feel every hair on his body. Every organ seems to be independent. He seems to be able to use physical strength to make every part of the body change. Same. Is it because after mastering Marine 6 Styles, the ability to return life is activated? Akira Yagyu opened his eyes slowly. He was even able to control the digestion speed of the food in his stomach and quickly convert the food inside into energy, with a slight guess in his heart. Advertisement. Go back and ask Lu Qi. Akira Yagyu thought about it for a while, and said secretly. On the personal panel, except for the Master's Marine 6 Styles, he has strengthened his own power. The Marine Mall, and the numbers behind Marine Reputation made Akira Yagyu a little dissatisfied. More than 100 billion is enough to buy half an ancient weapon, and 6,000 reputation points can only be exchanged for dozens of mid-level Marine Generals recruitment orders or world recruitment orders. Akira Yagyu got so many prestige points after conquering 3 small countries and 1 water country, and now he is desperately hoping that Marine Academy can export a batch of talents to him as soon as possible. After sighing, Akira Yagyu turned his attention to a recruitment order in the inventory with a nasty avatar like Kizaru. Akira Yagyu also became excited. One of Marine's 3 admirals, and the designated recruitment order for Kizaru, the most bizarre glittering fruit. To say that there is no good man in the 3 admiral, in the whole plot, except for Kizaru who seems to be paddling all day, Akainu and Aokiji are the existence of dynamic pressure that can destroy an island. At the beginning, Akainu and Aokiji fought for 10 years. 1 day and 10 nights, the climate of Ice and Fire Island has even been permanently changed, and the destructive power of this Wang Hao can be imagined. In any case, one of the Marine 3rd generation generals, even if Kizaru didn't seem to show his full strength, he was definitely not weaker than the other 2, plus his attack method known as the speed of light. I just don't know how this guy's so-called speed of light is in actual combat compared to Flying Thunder God. *11 use Marine Admiral. Kizaru, Pelusolino, designated recruitment order. Ding. Consume 1 recruiting order for a designated Marine General and start recruiting. Ding. Congratulations on the successful recruitment of Host Admiral of Headquarters, Kizaru Pelusolino. His Royal Highness, the warship is ready, and we can leave for the main island of the Land of Water at any time. Akira Yagyu had just been recruited when Ichiro Kitano's voice came from outside the door. Chapter 93 Twins. Akira Yagyu did not immediately take the warship to the main island of the water country, but first brought Kitano Ichiro to the Marine Academy. Akira Yagyu came to Marine Academy and found that Orochimaru, Luigi and 2 little girls were training under Zephyr's supervision. Lord. Seeing Akira Yagyu coming, Yu and Shui gave up first and ran towards Akira Yagyu. After that, Lu Qi Zephyr also looked towards Akira Yagyu's direction. Your Highness. Zephyr and Lu Qi came to Akira Yagyu to say hello, and then stopped talking. He hasn't left Marine Academy this week. Akira Yagyu nodded, then pointed to Orochimaru and asked. No, he's been under my watch the whole week, and he hasn't left a single step. Zephyr nodded, earnestly Kaido. After that, Akira Yagyu led the group towards Orochimaru. Seeing Akira Yagyu coming, Orochimaru finally stopped the training of Marine 6 Styles, looking at Akira Yagyu's 63's complexion. Your Highness. Orochimaru looked at Akira Yagyu and blurted out. After speaking, Orochimaru's face immediately froze, as if he didn't quite understand why he called Akira Yagyu. How about it? Akira Yagyu looked at Orochimaru with satisfaction, and then asked softly. He didn't change people's thoughts as thoroughly as washing the fruit. This is Akira Yagyu's satisfaction. He wanted Orochimaru to be tied to him by the system in this Marine Academy. The reason is that sometimes Orochimaru has some unique ideas about biological research. I've got the Marine 6 Styles out of the way, and with a little practice, I'll be able to use them. Advertisement. Although Orochimaru's physical quality is not comparable to Virgo's, but as one of the Sannin, and he pays attention to physical and talent research, his physical quality is also much stronger than those of the school-level generals. The Marine 6 Styles focuses on the strength of the body and breaking the limit. For Orochimaru, although he has never heard of such a way to stimulate the potential of the body, AFBD, he can still understand it. Very well, what's your purpose here? Akira Yagyu nodded again, then his eyes jumped and asked lightly. Hearing Akira Yagyu's question, Orochimaru's face sank. He also knew at this moment that he had been playing with Akira Yagyu's applause all the time. I want to explore the secret that the strong men under His Highness can be so powerful without relying on chakra. Your Highness, have you been plotting against me? As soon as Akira Yagyu finished speaking, Orochimaru immediately blurted out an answer, and when he finished speaking, his expression changed and he asked with a frown. It's like, well, I was planning before you came here, it's just that you came here on your own initiative. Akira Yagyu nodded, without denying it. Taking a deep breath, Orochimaru tried to calm himself down and looked at Akira Yagyu again. What is my relationship with your highness now? Why am I like this? Orochimaru's eyes were more complicated. He had never called anyone that. He was sure he was caught in Akira Yagyu's trap, but he didn't know where he was framed. In addition, according to this situation, some people are calculating themselves, and he is desperate to kill the other party, but facing Akira Yagyu, even facing everyone under Akira Yagyu's hands, he can't generate any hostility, even the slightest anger, there was only surprise and doubt, and the idea that Akira Yagyu's interests came first. What's the matter? You should be able to feel that you are now mine, just like Lucci Zephyr and the others. Another problem is this Marine Academy. Anyone who stays here for a week will be changed. Akira Yagyu still didn't hide it, and said a lot in one breath, and every sentence made Orochimaru's face change and change. I don't want to believe it, but it seems to be the case. Orochimaru smiled bitterly. He had been testing just now, and he found that he could not refuse all the questions and requests of Akira Yagyu, and it was even more difficult for him to really doubt Akira Yagyu's words. I know what you want, it's just immortality, I can give it to you. Akira Yagyu waved his hand, looked at Orochimaru, and said lightly. Advertisement. What? Hearing Akira Yagyu's words, not only Orochimaru, but Kitano Ichiro was surprised. Even if he was used to Akira Yagyu's omnipotent ability, he was shocked by this sentence. It's the two little girls you and Shui. Is what you said true? Although he had no doubts about Akira Yagyu's words in his heart, Orochimaru asked again to confirm. The body of immortality may not be called, but I can give you eternal life, if you can make me feel it is worth it, even if you are killed, as long as your soul is not scattered, I can resurrect you. Akira Yagyu looked at Orochimaru lightly, and said calmly, not feeling how shocking his words were in Orochimaru and Kitano Ichiro's ears. Your Highness, I am willing to swear my allegiance to the death. Orochimaru took a deep look, then fell to one knee. Get up, as long as you can generate enough value for me, even if you die, I can pull you back from the pure land of bliss. Akira Yagyu waved his hand and said seriously. Your Highness, I actually have something to tell you. Orochimaru thought for a moment, and suddenly said with a serious face. You mean the two of them? Akira Yagyu's eyes jumped, and then she pointed at the two little girls next to her. Yes, Your Highness, there are some things about them. If I guessed correctly, they should be the legendary twins. Orochimaru said, very serious, but his tone was not very confident, as if he was afraid that he would guess wrong. His eyes kept swept over the two of them, and he dared to continue to speak only if he wanted to constantly confirm. Twins. Chapter 94 gives Orochimaru a mission. Twins. What's that? How come I've never heard of it? When Kitano Ichiro heard the strange name next to him, he immediately asked strangely. This is also what I found on an ancient book when I was doing some research on my phone. Twins are the legendary symbiotic body. From birth, they are destined to have exactly the same achievements, the same chakra breadth, the same cultivation speed, and when the two are together, the cultivation speed can be superimposed. It's easier to release combined ninjutsu, and even, I also heard that when two people are together, they can even share the amount of chakra. Orochimaru said. Akira Yagyu and Lucci's faces became more and more strange, which was the same as the two little girls showed. You keep talking. Akira Yagyu said with a solemn expression, why has he never heard of such a person? The twins came from a Furukawa family that was active during the war, and that family relied on a bunch of twins in the clan to overwhelm all countries, causing dissatisfaction from all countries, and they resisted together, and finally wiped out their clan. Although there are still a small number of survivors, but also because of the pursuit of various countries, almost all casualties, and only those born with twins may be the legendary twins, so it has been from the time of the first generation. Haven't heard any rumors about that family. Orochimaru said seriously. But there is a drawback, that is, if one of the two is injured, the damage will be incremented to the other, and if one of them dies, the other will become a dead person. Although with the passage of time, the twins have become legends, there has always been an agreement between the senior management of the ninja villages in various countries, and once the twins are discovered, they must be killed as soon as possible. So, I am worried that if the twins are found, it will lead to the targeting of other countries, and they will even unite against us. Orochimaru paused before expressing his concerns. Advertisement. The two little girls didn't know what they were talking about, but they vaguely knew that it was about themselves, so they also listened very carefully. When they heard that Akira Yagyu might be targeted by various countries, their expressions suddenly changed. Looking at Akira Yagyu, his eyes were full of unease. Nothing. Looking at the two, Lucci opened his mouth and patted the two on the shoulders. These two little girls can be said to be very talented. Even Lucci couldn't help but sigh about the talent of the two. The effect of having a child, but he knew that Orochimaru's worries could not frighten his highness. As that's so, it seems that I have found two amazing treasures. Akira Yagyu smiled. Just as Lucci guessed, he would not be frightened by Orochimaru's worries. If he can really make the two little guys grow up, then it will definitely be the existence of humanoid-tailed beasts, let alone him, even if any country will not give up. Originally, I was thinking of taking them back for slicing research, but I'm not worried now. Orochimaru nodded, then looked at the two with his long tongue over his lips, and the two little girls turned pale with fright before they laughed. Your Highness, what do you need me to do? Seeing that Akira Yagyu was not asking himself anything, he asked out loud. You should be here without the help of third Hokage. You should go back first. You already understand the general concept of Marine 6 styles. If you can, help me collect the blood of the Hyuga clan and the Uchiha clan. Akira Yagyu thought for a moment, then continued. Blood. Yes, I understand, I'll go back now. Orochimaru nodded, then got up and disappeared. Just after Orochimaru left, Akira Yagyu turned his head sharply, and Conqueror's Haki instantly released, but did not find any strange place, and then fell into deep thought. The port of the main island of the Land of Water. Advertisement. The Marines who were originally stationed on the main island of the Land of Water were all gathered here. From the port to the capital of the Land of Water, there were more than 10 kilometers. They were heavily guarded along the way, and there was a general level officer every 100 meters. Marine guards. 0. Ask for flowers. In the capital of the Land of Water, all the people were sealed inside the city, and no one was allowed to leave the city. They all gathered in the streets, curiously looking at the Marines who were waiting in battle. What's going on? Why are these Marines so nervous? Is there another enemy coming? Your Excellency Daimyo has been missing for so long, did he go to prepare the army? Shish, you don't want to die. The Daimyo of the water country has been captured by the Lord of Carden Island. I heard that the Lord of Carden Island is coming to the capital today, so the entire main island is now under martial law, including ninjas. Any people are not allowed to go out with dangerous things. 0. Scared, so exaggerated. Why is the Lord of Carden Island so big? The person who spoke before was startled and asked repeatedly. Big Shelf. Kurigakure has surrendered to the Lord. It can be said that all the ninjas in the whole country of water belong to the Lord, and there are more than 100,000 well-equipped troops. In short, people can easily get the entire water with just one sentence. The lives of all people in the country are right. The other person didn't know how to explain, so he simply used his life to frighten him. My lord, long live the Lord, long live the Lord. This statement really worked. The man immediately turned pale, and hurriedly shouted shiveringly, causing the people around him to look at him, thinking that Akira Yagyu had arrived, and hurriedly shouted along with him. Here, on the port, Crocodile, biting a cigarette, personally led the Marine Commodore level and above generals, the high-ranking Kurigakure, and the daimyo who had come to the Land of Water in advance. Standing on the port, he calmly watched the fleet of fleets that were constantly moving in front of him. There are 10 heavy warships in the fleet, each of which is hundreds of meters long. With a heavy sense of oppression, the ministers of the surrounding small countries who came to observe are all horrified. Chapter 95. Landing on the island, the power of the Overlord. The ship of the Lord of Carden Island is so big. Looking at the heavy warships several hundred meters long and tens of meters high, people from other countries all looked sluggish. No wonder Akira Yagyu was able to swallow up several surrounding small countries and the giant water country so quickly. These warships are enough to easily sweep any country's naval army. But this is not over yet. As the fleet keeps approaching, the originally calm sea suddenly becomes restless. What's the matter? Seafood. Feeling the turbulence on the ground driven by the sea, the big names in various countries asked in panic, but seeing that the Marines did not panic, as if they did not feel anything, this made the people in other countries relax immediately. Staring closely at the turbulent 070 sea ahead. Suddenly, something under the sea rose in the distance, and then a wave of water was propped up from below, spreading out like a fountain. What is that? At the farthest point, about 10 kilometers away, two huge heads protruded from the inside, followed by a huge body, which together were hundreds of meters above the sea. Yes, it seems to be a strange beast, a giant chapter in the deep sea. Isn't this thing only a dozen meters? How can it be so big? Look, there's more behind. The second one has come out. It's the manatee, darling. If all of them come out, it's estimated to be thousands of meters away. And then, a third, a fourth, a fifth. It lasted for more than 10 minutes. 18 huge figures, almost every one of them, appeared in the sea like a giant beast, like a majestic mountain. They were lined up in 2 rows with their heads bowed respectfully. Suck. People other than Marine, whether they were ministers of various countries or ninjas, all looked at the dozen or so behemoths in horror. Finally, they finally understood why the army of the water country of millions was defeated so thoroughly. Advertisement. It's just, they don't understand. They have seen those sea beasts, but they have never heard of such a big beast. Could it be that those who were lucky enough to have seen such a big sea beast were swallowed? The more you think about it, the more likely it is. After all, there is no other country whose warships can be as big as those in Carden Island. The largest ships in other countries are only nearly 100 meters away. Being eaten by these big guys is not like a snack. Boom. Crocodile gave an order, and Sicily immediately drew a bow and arrow and shot a lit cannonball into the sky. Boom. With a loud bang, a huge flame bloomed in the sky of the port. The 20 warships parked around seemed to have received orders at the same time, all lined up and began to design toward the sea. The orderly military discipline made the shells fall into the sea one after another as if they had been negotiated, causing a series of forehead explosions, and the water column tens of meters high was blasted into the sky, which looked like a spectacular water festival. These guys, seeing those enviable battleships being used as fireworks by the people of Carden Island, all of them turned red, wishing to kick all the Marines down and take the battleships back to their own country as treasures and hide them. Boom, boom, boom. The 10 warships bombed one by one for 10 hours. The huge water waves were blocked by those huge sea beasts, and they would not affect the counterparts of the fleet at sea, and the fleet soon came to the harbor. The second round begins. Crocodile sounded again, and on the top of the mountain in the distance, dozens of pacifists raised their heads to look at the sky, and then raised their hands at the same time. Countless golden light spots rushed into the sky, and a series of explosions occurred, killing the entire main island. The glare of the photo is not suitable. Kong. Advertisement. There was a shock in the harbor, the fleet docked, and all the noises quieted down. Everyone stared straight ahead, waiting for today's main lord to appear. Da, da, da. With a series of footsteps, CP9 took the lead in trotting down from the main ship. Everyone exuded an aura like a beast, and the samurai and ninjas who were present were frowning. Immediately afterwards, Akira Yagyu got off the boat, wearing a blue kimono and a Luwu hat, taking one step at a time, but it seemed that every step was stepping on everyone's heart, making people nervous. All of them were shocked by the aura of Akira Yagyu's body and speechless. Your lord is so young. Looking at Akira Yagyu's face, it made all countries look shocked. For a long time, there have been rumors about this lord of Kaden Island. Some people say that Chi looks fierce, and Dunton must have blood as his company. Others it is said that he has been on Kaden Island for decades, and Wafa finally waited for the opportunity. Anyway, there are different opinions, but no one guessed it right. This age, this momentum, we can't match. Some older daimyo in some countries, looking at Akira Yagyu, sighed in their hearts. They have spent their entire lives, but they have never had Akira Yagyu's present hockey appearance. Behind Akira Yagyu, on the left is Ichiro Kitano, with his head held high, looking at these famous names who used to be invincible in the past, but now they are like ordinary people, wearing orange eyes, squinting, spraying 1.3 mouth, constantly examining the people around. Well, puff, there are so many people, oops, there are so many people, really. Kizaru's eyes swept around constantly, making strange exclamations from time to time along the way, which attracted strange expressions from those below. How could this Highness Yagyu be accompanied by such a wretched person? It's too cheap. Looking at Kizaru, many people secretly frowned and sighed inwardly. Get ready, tomorrow at noon, in the center of the capital, I will execute the Chaos-kun ministers of the Land of Water. Akira Yagyu glanced at the daimyo and ministers of the small vassal states of the original water country, said a word, and walked into the cage that had been prepared for a long time. Chapter 96 Publicly execute the name of the Kingdom of Water. Early the next morning, the people of the capital city of the country of water all gathered at the meeting place in the center of the capital city. As early as yesterday, Akira Yagyu just disembarked and announced the news of the execution of the former ministers of the Kingdom of Water. Unlike those nobles, because there is no interest involved, ordinary people don't care who manages them at all, they only think who can make them food and clothing. Then who are they going to? Although they don't know what the rule of the mysterious lord, Akira Yagyu, is like, they have already heard many people mentioning the great achievements of this wise and powerful highness. Each city has set up marine points, regardless of their status, as long as they are of the right age, they can learn, and have the opportunity to rise to the sky and become a general, which makes the people look forward to it. Akira Yagyu who did this is definitely the first, because doing so will inevitably cause dissatisfaction among the nobles of all parties, and even O5 backlash. Akira Yagyu is not afraid, he has iron-blooded means, and the disciplined marine is enough to make no one dare to produce not the slightest thought of dissatisfaction. It was similar to when Kaden Island executed the samurai of the Hoshino family, but the scale of the capital here is indeed more than 10 times that of the central square of Hagia City on Kaden Island. 5,000 marines were drawn out, and 500 Kirigakure Chunin maintained order. 3 high platforms were set up on the square, one square facing the south, and the other 2 long rectangular high platforms sloping to the southeast and southwest respectively. In the south, there were more than 100,000 people, who were neatly lined up in thousands of columns, each column less than 100,000 people. Say there are hundreds of people. The entire square was bustling, but there was not a trace of noise. Marine, who was holding a musket and saber next to and around, made the people dare not make a sound. The first is the high platform on both sides, where the messengers or lords of the small countries are sitting, and everyone looks up at the high platform due north, waiting for Akira Yagyu to come out. The first group of people came out, but it was not Akira Yagyu, because Yagyu was too pressed to kneel on the high platform. Yagyu opened his eyes in a daze, and saw that he was actually kneeling to the people below, and his face changed suddenly. Akira Yagyu, damn you, I am a big name in a country, how can I kneel to these lowly commoners? You be asterisk 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 D. You are insulting the majesty of the ancestors. Yagyu was too crushed to turn his head, not knowing where Akira Yagyu was, he could only face forward, barking like a vicious dog. Damn, and you guys, you still haven't come to save me? Kill me that damn Akira Yagyu, a bunch of bastards, and when I make a comeback, I'll slaughter your country. Advertisement. When the police came to the top of the stands on both sides, and the faces were familiar, Yagyu barked again, looking like a lunatic at this moment. The people below, who had seen the daimyo whom they once admired in the past, had become so desolate and somewhat pitiful, but after hearing his words, they suddenly became infuriated. The words of Yagyu Rentai directly provoked public anger, and even the messengers of the small countries who were originally embarrassed looked at Yagyu Rentai one by one dissatisfied. His Royal Highness has come out, everyone, look. Suddenly, a person in the crowd shouted, and everyone turned their eyes to the direction that the person pointed, and saw Akira Yagyu step by step onto the stage. Marine, who was in charge of holding the influence phone bug, instantly projected Akira Yagyu's figure on the giant screen, and everyone in the venue cheered. His Royal Highness, His Royal Highness, wow, Your Royal Highness. What kind of ninja tool is this? Seeing Akira Yagyu's figure clearly appearing in the play, every movement was synchronized with Akira Yagyu. All the ministers from various countries were horrified, and Kaden Island was able to achieve real-time projection communication. Not only on the stage, there were also many ninjas or samurai from major countries under the stage. Seeing the projection on the giant screen, their expressions suddenly became solemn. The master's technology level in the hands of the Lord of Kaden Island has far surpassed several major countries. When Akira Yagyu fully took the stage and came to the center, the cheers of the people gradually calmed down. Akira Yagyu, you finally came out. You B******************. You dared to betray the land of water. You killed Mizukage. You B****************. D. Advertisement. Seeing Akira Yagyu coming out, Yagyu, who had just stopped, roared again. His eyes were red, and he wanted to swallow Akira Yagyu clean. What? Yagyu Renda's voice was abrupt in this quiet venue, and everyone heard his last sentence. Mizukage? Third Mizukage, killed? Looking at Akira Yagyu 070 and the Yagyu people, whether they were messengers from various countries, the people of the land of water, or the ninja samurai spies from other countries, they all stared at Akira Yagyu in astonishment. No wonder, Kirigakure will surrender. Now there should be no masters in Kirigakure. The daimyo of the surrounding countries immediately started talking, and looking at Akira Yagyu's eyes, what was originally just a faint fear, now completely turned into a panic. Killing the shadow of a village forced Mist Shinobi to surrender to the village, which was more difficult than killing Kirigakure directly. At this moment, in the eyes of everyone, Akira Yagyu's young and elegant image instantly became like a fierce god. Kirigakure Mizukage was killed by Akira Yagyu, the Lord of Kaden. This news must be reported as soon as possible. The ninjas sent by all the countries, after knowing the news, were suddenly flooded with the same thought, and at the same time, they were lucky that this guy appeared in the country of water. The land of water in Kirigakure no longer exist, and you are no longer a daimyo, a dying person, and you have no chance for revenge. Turning around, he glanced at Yagyu, who was kneeling on the ground like a hungry wolf and a mad dog. Akira Yagyu said indifferently. Chapter 97. Form the world government. Akira Yagyu raised his head and looked at the mighty sea of people in front of him, and there was a hint of emotion in his eyes. Your Highness, we can begin. Beside him, Kitano Ichiro looked at the time and reminded in a low voice. Akira Yagyu glanced at it, and the daimyo of the land of water had already been put on the beheading platform. Akira Yagyu, you B************D. B**********D. You will regret it, I curse you to pieces. The head has been stuck into shackles. Vicious insults against Akira Yagyu incessantly. Akira Yagyu's eyes widened at Yagyu Renda's abuse, and a terrifying aura came out of Akira Yagyu instantly. Puff. The Yagyu man was severely wounded, a mouthful of hot blood spurted out, his spirit was sluggish, and he could no longer say a word. The great name of the land of water, Yagyu people too. Insult your highness, be punished. Insulting the generals, be punished. Insult the people, be punished. Insult your neighbors and punish them. Akira Yagyu, who was too much for Yagyu, glanced at the audience again, took a deep breath, and said in a deep voice. The voice was generous and strong, and it spread throughout the square like a thunder in dry land, which shocked people. Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! As soon as Akira Yagyu finished speaking, countless people began to shout loudly. Everyone's slogans were unprecedentedly consistent, as if resentment had been accumulated for a long time, and it seemed that they were driven by Akira Yagyu, and everyone shouted. The voice made Mr. Yagyu half-hearted. He raised his head and glanced at the people who wanted to die quickly. Mr. Yagyu rolled his eyes and passed out. Advertisement. In a coma, he faintly heard a sound. Implement. Immediately afterwards, Akira Yagyu snorted in the expectant eyes of the people of the land of water and the messengers of the various countries, and the voice contained Conqueror's Haki, covering all the voices on the field. Ah, girl. The next moment, the beheading sword fell, and the corpse of the water country daimyo was separated. His Royal Highness Akira Yagyu, His Royal Highness Akira Yagyu. Many people shouted again, and the envoys and kings of the small country who were watching were constantly looking at him. Akira Yagyu had just conquered the country of water, and he was able to make the people of the country of water love him so much. Ding! Host kills the name of the country of water and triggers the mission. Form a world government. Task requirements. Form a world government with at least 3 member states. Quest completion reward. Advanced Conqueror's Haki, Thunderfruit, Ancient Weapon Pluto Design. Just as the name of the land of water was beheaded, the system's mechanical prompt sounded immediately. The establishment of the world government? The system is so good, it's actually here to give benefits. Seeing the system prompt, Akira Yagyu raised his brows, and his breathing became heavier. High-level Conqueror's Haki. Thunderfruit, Ancient Weapon Design Drawing. This is where the welfare is given. It is obviously targeted poverty alleviation. Glancing over the reward given by the system, Akira Yagiyu's eyes stared like cowbells. System, you are tempting me. Akira Yagiyu gritted his teeth and exited the mission to check. Immediately afterwards, his eyes became deep, and he quickly fell on the daimyo of the surrounding small countries. Through the huge screen at the back of the venue, the big names from all over the world found Akira Yagiyu looking at him, and they felt a little uneasy. Today, I have one more thing to announce to you. Advertisement. Akira Yagiyu himself quickly calmed down from the quest reward just now, and then said in a loud voice, with a very solemn expression on his face. Hearing Akira Yagiyu's words, everyone was immediately shocked and looked at Akira Yagiyu. From today, the Land of Water will cease to exist, and this place will be officially renamed the Holy Land. Akira Yagiyu said sternly. His voice was sonorous and powerful. The word Holy Land blurted out, and Conqueror's Haki was released and retracted instantly, which shocked everyone's hearts. Holy Land. Everyone's heart was shocked, and they shouted in horror, Holy Land? Where would that be? The place where the legendary gods lived? That's right, the Holy Land of the world government. Akira Yagiyu nodded and continued. World government? What is the name of Lord Akira Yagiyu's new country? Those big names in small countries speculated one after another, not understanding why Guofeng with such a strange name exists. This is not a country, it is an organization that maintains the peace of various countries, an organization that stops wars, and it is a responsibility. Participating in the world government must be a peaceful country that has not fallen into war, become a member of the world government, and will support each other. Any country that dares to provoke a member of the world government is an enemy of the entire world government. After Akira Yagiyu finished speaking, the audience fell silent. Everyone's breathing became a little heavy, even ordinary people didn't say a word. Once such an organization is established, countless small countries will flock to it. Really let these small countries unite like Akira Yagiyu said, that is definitely a threat to the existence of the whole world. Here, you can give me an answer immediately, whether you are willing to join the world government is up to you to decide, and I will not force it. After a pause, Akira Yagiyu continued, but the words made the daimyo of the surrounding countries tremble. The mood of each country's name is extremely complicated at the moment. Akira Yagiyu is asking them to give an answer, although Akira Yagiyu said that they should choose, but how do they choose? For so many years, these countries have depended on the country of water to survive. Now that the country of water has been destroyed, without the protection of the country of water, if they offend the Lord again, then their country will definitely not exist for a month. Even if they are not attacked by other countries, their country will soon be occupied by wandering warriors and rebels who have nowhere to go, and countless people will live in dire straits. If you join, you will be blessed and supported by Akira Yagiyu. Even if there is another national challenge, Akira Yagiyu's world government will take action. The results of the two choices do not need to be compared at all. Chapter 98. Akira Yagiyu's plan. His Royal Highness, my country of the ocean wants to join the world government and become a member of the world government. I hope your highness can agree. First of all, the daimyo of the foreign country stood up directly and asked loudly. His Royal Highness, my country of ships also wants to join the world government and become a member of the world government. As soon as the great name of the Kingdom of Oceans finished speaking, Daming of the Kingdom of Chuan immediately got up, just like the great name of the Kingdom of Oceania, Gao Sheng said. His Royal Highness Akira Yagiyu, our country requests to join the world government. And our country, with the first one, there will be a second one, and the third country and the fourth country will speak out one after another. When everyone's voice falls, the sound of the system prompts continuously. Ding! Congratulations to the host world government member country +1, the current task completion degree is 1/3. Ding! Congratulations to the host world government member country +1, the current task completion degree is 2/3. Ding! Congratulations to the host world government member country +1, the current task completion degree is 3/3. Ding! Congratulations to the host world government for having more than 3 member states and successfully forming the world government, and congratulations to the host for completing the task, forming the world government. Ding! Congratulations to host for getting the quest reward. Advanced Conquerors 077 Haki, Thunderfruit Ancient Weapon, Pluto Design Diagram. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining the Advanced Conquerors Haki, successfully using the Advanced Conquerors Haki. The current host Conquerors Haki level is Advanced. Advertisement. It's finally here. Akira Yagiyu's face suddenly brightened with joy. The senior Conqueror's Haki, Thunderfruit, and most importantly, he even gave a design drawing of the ancient weapon Pluton, which made Akira Yagiyu who couldn't afford the ancient weapon and could only sigh with joy. Wah, after living for so many years, did not expect to meet such a targeted poverty alleviation. But Akira Yagiyu, although happy, has not forgotten that he has other things to announce. With a wave of his hand, the people in the square fell silent and took a deep breath. Akira Yagiyu continued. 1 month later, we will hold a martial arts competition in the Holy Land, and the first place in this martial arts competition will get the top treasure of the world government. Op fruit. Users can cut and separate any target, and can create a field, divide all the substances in the field, and even exchange the hearts and souls of the two. As soon as Akira Yagiyu finished speaking, Everyone was shocked, and everyone's eyes widened, looking at Akira Yagyu on the stage. After all, the thing that Shengming mentioned is too strange, they have never heard of it, and everyone has suspicious eyes. You can doubt what I said, and I will not make any explanation. It is your own choice whether to participate in the martial arts conference. There is only one devil fruit, and the first place is eligible to have it. The competition time is just a month later, the age is only under 20 years old, anyone under 20 years old can participate. I can guarantee that after having devil fruit, only the other party enters the field, even an ordinary person can dismember and manipulate cage level. Yagyu smiled noncommittally to those people's skeptical eyes. Even ordinary people can handle cage level. Everyone was shocked, and their hearts were extremely horrified. His Royal Highness, is what you said true? Can you participate even if you are not a ninja? Yes, I have just mentioned that as long as you are under the age of 20, there will be no restrictions. Don't think about cheating by other means. If you are discovered, you will become the enemy of all member states of my entire world government. Advertisement. Akira Yagyu nodded, looked around, glanced around, paid attention, AFBD, to everyone's excited eyes, raised the corner of his mouth slightly, turned around and left after speaking, leaving a group of people to meet face to face. Since Akira Yagyu can say that, it must be true. Everyone's breathing became heavier for a while, looking at Akira Yagyu's back with fire in his eyes. As Akira Yagyu left, the whole square suddenly boiled. His Royal Highness, why do you want such a powerful devil fruit as a reward? Just after returning to the daimyo's mansion behind the square, Kitano Ichiro couldn't hold back the doubts in his heart, and immediately asked curiously. However, Akira Yagyu didn't answer, he just smiled, found a chair and sat down. Op fruit must require top geniuses to comprehend, and of course he didn't intend to use people under his own hands. Seeing Akira Yagyu just smiling and not speaking, Kitano Ichiro knew that he couldn't ask anything. His Royal Highness, you don't even create your own country, so what kind of world government are you going to do? Joining these small countries in the world government will not help you at all, and maybe you will need our help at that time. Kitano Ichiro was full of questions from the beginning to the end, and now he is more and more unable to guess what His Highness is thinking. It must be known that there are very few daimyos in any country who are willing to lend their power to other countries. Even if it is his own country, Akira Yagyu's decision is destined to be sought after by those small countries. You have to know that too many ants can kill an elephant. Although these small countries are small, they may be the same ant that killed an elephant for any big country. Every country has its own secrets. Of course, this is just what Akira Yagyu told Kitano Ichiro. In fact, Akira Yagyu is too lazy to attack these countries. For the time being, he also let these people manage their respective countries. His main task was to pacify the world wars, and he did not say that he must occupy all countries. Looking at the Highness in front of him, Kitano Ichiro found that the Highness he admired became more and more stable. He found that every decision Akira Yagyu made since he was with His Highness was useful, and could even affect the future battlefield. Has all this been foreseen by His Highness? Anyway, all along, Akira Yagyu is like a god in Kitano Ichiro's heart, and every step of Akira Yagyu has deep meaning. Chapter 99 Marine Division Plan. Akira Yagyu could see that Kitano Ichiro knew that he was full of doubts right now, and he could also sense the thoughts of this guy who opened his heart through observation hockey, just smiled and didn't say much. Akira Yagyu sometimes doesn't even know what he's doing. Maybe it's a rainy day, he always has to do something for what might happen in the future, no matter what others think, he's still scared anyway. Damn, after all, there are too many strong people in this world, and the land of water is only the first step. His Royal Highness, where are we going now? Kitano Ichiro sighed as he watched Shengming rubbing his head constantly. He guessed that His Highness must have a pressure that he could not imagine, and it was not something he could share. Perhaps it was this unspeakable pressure that allowed His Highness to rise up and defeat the land of water so quickly. You go and bring some heads of the world government member countries. I need to talk to them about some things. Akira Yagyu also thought about it for a while, then said softly. Yes. Kitano Ichiro nodded and quickly withdrew respectfully. After a while, a total of 8 daimyo members of the world government were brought to the Yagyu family by Ichiro Kitano. His Royal Highness, the names of all countries have arrived. Kitano Ichiro bowed and said, and the other daimyo saw Akira Yagyu and immediately bowed in unison. I have seen Your Highness. Do you know why I came to you? Akira Yagyu looked forward, nothing changed in his eyes, but it was this plain look and tone that made others feel a little uneasy. Your Highness, we don't know. After a few people looked at each other in dismay, Kaido, the daimyo of Shipland, took a step forward, and the others nodded in agreement. Advertisement. Looking at Akira Yagyu, everyone felt uneasy, wondering what the young lord was trying to do. You should have seen the artillery of the ships I parked in the port, and the videophone bug just above the venue, right? Akira Yagyu asked softly, then his eyes fell. See? Yeah, we've seen it. Do you want Your Highness? A group of big names breathed tight and nodded again and again, vaguely seeming to have some guesses in their hearts, and immediately asked excitedly. As a member of the world government, you can't be too weak. I can sell you all these things as the welfare of the members of the world government. Akira Yagyu nodded, acknowledging the speculations of those small kingdoms. Scare. I was just guessing, but then I dismissed my thoughts. I didn't expect that Akira Yagyu actually had this plan. Everyone looked at Akira Yagyu's eyes from horror to frenzy. They could see those warships clearly, regardless of the range or power, can be called the world's top. Your Highness, are you serious? Originally, they were still very envious, but they didn't expect that in a blink of an eye, they joined the world government and could obtain the protection of Akira Yagyu, but Akira Yagyu was willing to sell it to them, which made the surrounding famous names a little unbelievable. 10 million phone worms, 30 million video phone worms, 1 billion warships, plus 1 billion more. I can station 2 additional warship units in your country to help you defend against external forces and internal riots, and I will not interfere in your domestic political affairs, but you need your own support for the maintenance costs of the army. Akira Yagyu nodded and continued. Ding, congratulations to the host for triggering the side quest, establishing the Marine Branch. Task requirements. Establish at least 1 standard Marine Branch base, 1 G-Series Marine Elite Branch base, and successfully station the Army, Standard Marine Branch. Marine personnel not less than 2,000, and the minimum station generals are colonel level. G-Series Marine Operating Branch. Marine personnel must not be less than 10,000, and the minimum station generals must be Vice Admiral. Advertisement. Mission reward. Marine Special Operations Force, Giant Corps, Marine Standard Judicial Pursuit Force. 0. For flowers, Akira Yagyu just finished talking to the daimyo present about the price, and the system immediately popped up a side quest. Giants Unit. Eni's Lobby Chase Unit. This guy, why did you want to go with me? Akira Yagyu raised his brows and created the Marine and World Government. The Marine Branch is definitely indispensable. He originally planned to station troops in various countries, but he just triggered the system's side missions. After being silent for so long, the system actually released 2 tasks in a row today, and they didn't seem to have any difficulty. Am I developing too fast? Akira Yagyu thought to herself with an odd look on her face. 0. 10 million, and warships only need 1 billion, and they can help garrison the army, too. This is too cost-effective. However, other people don't know what happened to Akira Yagyu. Everyone looked at Akira Yagyu blankly. Their faces were incredible. This kind of high-tech should be kept by themselves, but this one is willing to sell this kind of thing to them, and also willing to send troops to garrison troops. Akira Yagyu's well-equipped troops, but much better than the samurai of their own country. Although the price is in 100 million yuan, in comparison, even though the money is a lot, and the army is not their own, it can ensure the stability of their own country and help defend against foreign enemies. What do they share? Is it his own army? All 8 people felt that they had made a lot of money for a while, and the corners of their excited mouths almost grinned to the roots of their ears. His Royal Highness Yagyu, my country of the oceans will give out 2 billion, in addition, my country of oceans will give out another 400 million to buy 10 telephone bugs each. Damn, you guys are so fast every time. I want it in the country of the lake, just like him. His Highness Akira Yagyu, please sell it to me first, even if you add money. As soon as the daimyo of the Ocean Kingdom finished speaking, the daimyo of the Kingdom of the Lake immediately exclaimed. For fear that it would be sold out, the atmosphere suddenly became tense, and the 8 daimyo were competing with each other. Factory Chapter 100 Try Devil Fruit. The big name of that small country, you say it to me, the louder the price increase. The big name of the country that used to be high in the past is now like a shrew in the street. Even with bare eyes, it is about to fight. You can rest assured that there will be all of them. As a member of the world government, you can buy unlimited quantities of my things. Akira Yagyu looked at the person in front of him and felt a burst of joy in his heart. This time, he had at least another 10 billion in income. Your Highness, do you have anything else? Ocean Country daimyo seemed to have thought of something and quickly looked at what was there with a look of hope. Others stopped immediately when they heard Ocean Country daimyo's words, and everyone looked at Akira Yagyu eagerly. Now, 0. After they heard that Akira Yagyu's things could be purchased, they were like women who hadn't been on the street for a long time. They wished that Akira Yagyu would buy them back. I was just about to say that, if you have enough money, I can sell it to you. Saying that, Akira Yagyu took out an artificial magic fruit from his arms. The brown peel had green patterns on it, and a black circle in the middle looked like the eyes of some creature. What's this? Seeing the weird patterns on devil fruit and how it looked like a poisonous color, everyone shuddered subconsciously, and then asked in surprise. The artificial devil fruit can improve people's combat effectiveness. Even ordinary people can have the power to crush stones with their bare hands after eating this devil fruit. Kitano Ichiro immediately interjected. In his opinion, Akira Yagyu doesn't need to talk to these people at all. Hearing Kitano Ichiro's explanation, everyone was shocked and looked at Kitano Ichiro blankly. If it was really as Kitano Ichiro described, then this thing is really a fetish. Then, they quickly turned their attention to Lu Ming. Now all of them think the same as Kitano Ichiro. They don't understand why Yagyu is willing to sell such a thing to them. Some people even have suspicious eyes and feel that Akira Yagyu is not trying to poison them. This is similar to Op-Op fruit, except that Op-Op fruit directly uses the domain law to attack, and this thing can change people's physical state, making people stand upright like a falcon, and like a wild lion. Just as ferocious, and even some can directly make people fly into the sky. Kitano Ichiro knew the origins and uses of these devil fruits, and he continued to talk about them immediately. Advertisement. After speaking, Kitano Ichiro stretched out his hands, and in the horrified eyes of everyone, the raised hands immediately turned into a pair of sharp blades. What? 2 cold lights swept across, and the black hats on the heads of several big names were cut in half. Mom. A few big names touched their heads subconsciously, and immediately took down a tuft of hair. They were taken aback and looked at Ichiro Kitano in horror. If Ichiro Kitano's hand trembled just now, they would have lost their lives. Could it be that, Your Excellency Kitano, are you also a ninja of Gangtong? As a great name of a country, the great name of the land of lakes was once fortunate to have seen the steel man endure. He immediately asked something different, and when he asked, his brows were wrinkled, because the steel escape seemed different from Kitano Ichiro back then. No, I have the ability only after eating devil fruit. Kitano Ichiro shook his head, the sharp knives on both hands slammed into each other, and after making a clanging sound of metal clashing, it faded away instantly, all of which seemed like magic in the eyes of the surrounding big names. Devil fruit. If we eat devil fruit, wouldn't we be able to be like Mr. Kitano? It seems that's right, we can also have the strength to endure at that time. A few big names seem to have thought of this devil fruit, as if anyone can eat it, and they immediately communicated with each other. Although they are a big name of a country, their own strength is not strong, and they often need someone to protect them, but as a big name of a country, they do not want their lives to be handed over to others. If they can improve their own strength, then could not be better. Well, Your Highness, how much can this devil fruit sell for? Advertisement. Finally someone asked the question that everyone wanted to know. Looking at Akira Yagyu, this thing may be more expensive than the previous warships, but for their own lives, no matter how expensive they are willing to buy them all, and even right the daimyo with the empty treasury is already thinking about what to mortgage Akira Yagyu in exchange for this devil fruit 0. 1 devil fruit 300 million. Akira Yagyu threw the devil fruit out of his hand and replied lightly. 300 million. With a pounce, Ocean Country carefully caught the devil fruit thrown by Akira Yagyu. A group of people were all shocked, not surprised that it was too expensive, but it was much cheaper than they thought. If you can really say like Akira Yagyu in that case, the people in this world will no longer have the weak, and the ninja will no longer be the dominant force in the top battle. Looking at Akira Yagyu again, everyone's eyes became extremely tangled. This highness was able to defeat the combined forces of Kurigakure and the Land of Water with an army that did not even have chakra. Apart from those warships and sea monsters, he must also be able to defeat them. The help of this devil 1.3 fruit is indispensable. Eat it and try it out. Akira Yagyu motioned to eat the devil fruit in the hands of Hisashi Yogawa, the daimyo of the Ocean Country. Eat this. Hearing Akira Yagyu's words, Yokogawa Yudai hesitated for a while. Although Kitano Ichiro said a lot about the benefits of this thing, it seemed poisonous no matter how he looked at it, but he didn't dare to refuse, raised his head and glanced at Akira Yagyu. Just die. Gritting his teeth, Yang Chuan took a long look at the smiling eyes of the other big names. Without even peeling the skin, he directly bit down. Forehead. As soon as he took a bite, Yangchuan Judai's face turned pale, and a strange sound came out of his throat. Chapter 101 convinces the 8 kingdoms. Yang Chuan was hanging from his neck for a long time, with a difficult appearance, his face was blue and white, and the scalp of the person watching was numb. Poisonous. Seeing all this, the others took a few steps back, cautiously looking ahead, and at the same time, they were also a little puzzled. Akira Yagyu wanted to kill them, but Ichiro Kitano just told him to do it. However, instead of foaming at the mouth and struggling on the ground as they imagined, Yangchuan Judai stretched his neck and continued to take a second bite. The second bite was much better than the first bite, although his face was still not very good looking, but several people saw that he was obviously much smoother. Cough cough cough, Your Highness, this is so unpalatable. After eating 3 bites in a row, Yangchuan Judai's face twisted, looking at the devil fruit in his hand, he couldn't take it any longer. He moaned towards Akira Yagyu and said a few people's astonishing words, and a few people heard Yangchuan Judai's words, feeling that they are going crazy, they all thought this guy was poisoned. I thought you liked it very much. You can just take a bite. Let's see what your abilities are. Kitano Ichiro said with a sarcastic expression that he had eaten devil fruit once, and knew how unpalatable devil fruit 05 really was. As a pampered famous name in a country, it was hard for him to be able to eat 3 bites in a row. Just 1 bite. Yangchuan Judai's face twitched, and he quickly put down devil fruit, his eyes suddenly widened, and his 2 hands turned into a pair of huge fists with long hair. Roar. With a low roar, Yang Chuan took a punch and smashed to the ground. Boom. With a bang, the slate on the ground was smashed into a pit with a radius of 2 meters. Advertisement. After smashing the punch, Yokogawa Kudai immediately withdrew from it, and sat on the ground panting heavily. It seems that this guy doesn't have much conflict with this artificial devil fruit. Akira Yagyu looked at the damage caused by Yokogawa Kudai and nodded secretly. After all, only a few people would conflict with users. If there were too many, Kaido would not be able to form beasts pirates no matter how stupid he was. Thank you for the gift of your highness. Within 3 days, I will personally bring all the money in my country and deliver it to your highness. After taking a few sips, Yogawa Kudai also recovered a lot, and immediately stood up and said respectfully to Akira Yagyu. Watching Yangchuan Judai suddenly possess the power of punching and cracking rocks, the 7 daimyo around him suddenly couldn't sit still and hurriedly ate and drank. Your Highness, do you have any more? I want to buy 2. I want to buy 3, Your Highness, I'll go back and bring the money now. I want 2 too, Your Highness, please be sure to keep 2 for me. No one bargained, and again, like a woman with a discount, they all started to buy. If you can become a big name in a country, you can say that everyone is already an old fox. They don't bargain, and they don't dare to bargain. Akira Yagyu suddenly announced the formation of the world government. As members of the world government, Akira Yagyu did not explicitly ask them what protection fees, but they themselves know what to do. Compared with the previous country where the Water Kingdom only collected money and did nothing, what Akira Yagyu did was beyond their expectations. A series of good things happened to them, and they are still a little unbelievable. Ichiro Kitano, you wait and count, and report to me the list of things they want to buy. In addition, after 3 days, if the surrounding countries have not joined the world government, we will mobilize the army to clean up all the nobles and royal families in those countries. If anyone from your countries wants to, then send troops to station there. For those of you who are the first members of the world government. Seeing that these people did not reject buying devil fruit, Akira Yagyu didn't say anything else, but suddenly ordered. Advertisement. What? Will all those neighboring countries be wiped out in 3 days? Before Kitano Ichiro could answer, the 8 daimyo present immediately exclaimed, although they had already guessed that Akira Yagyu would take action against those countries that did not join the world government in the future. But they never imagined that Akira Yagyu would only be willing to wait for 3 days, and what made them even more unbelievable was that Akira Yagyu would have to give them the country they had conquered. Several people present couldn't believe it, and they even once suspected that he had hallucinations. Hey, is this frightened? As long as you are willing to follow His Highness can even grant you eternal life. Kitano Ichiro immediately grinned when he saw the surprised people. Those who were high in the past were now so unbearable in his own eyes, and immediately told them what Akira Yagyu told Orochimaru at that time. Eternal life. This term is not unfamiliar to everyone, and it is also everyone, whether it is the Emperor, the people or the Overlord Ninja, 090 is pursuing, except for some special sorcery, no one has really achieved immortality. And can this person in front of them actually give them immortality? They have experienced too much experience today. Originally, they thought they were used to it, and they would not be too surprised if Akira Yagyu said anything else. I didn't expect Kitano Ichiro really and even more surprising news. Your Highness, if you can really grant me eternal life, then everything I have is yours. Taking a deep breath, the Ocean Kingdom daimyo knelt down on one knee and said loudly. That's right, Your Highness, if we can really give birth, what if we don't become a member of the world government, and we are completely loyal to you? The others also got down on one knee one after another. The word immortality, if it wasn't here, they wouldn't even think about it. For some reason, they just felt that Akira Yagyu could really give them immortality. The word immortality is the temptation that no one can resist. When Akira Yagyu saw the 8 daimyo kneeling down, he couldn't help but sigh in his heart, even he had to focus on the idea of op fruit. Chapter 102. The Kingdom of Iron, see you on 3 ships. His Royal Highness, this is the list I just recorded from the 8 great names. Please take a look. In addition, there are some things from the Iron Country that I would like to know about you. Not long after, Kitano Ichiro came in from the door, took a list in his hand, and handed it to Akira Yagyu with both hands respectfully. He said, people from the Iron Country. If I remember correctly, you should be a wandering warrior from the Iron Country. Do you know who came? Akira Yagyu raised his brows, then asked in a deep voice. Yes, Your Highness, I am from the Iron Country, and the person who wants to see you is the Admiral Army of the Iron Country. Hearing Akira Yagyu's question, Kitano Ichiro was shocked, and then said quickly. As a country of warriors, the Kingdom of Iron is different from other large and small countries. The Kingdom of Iron has always existed as a neutral country, and the Admiral Army mentioned by Kitano Ichiro should be the leader of the Kingdom of Iron, Mifune. Kizaru, go and bring the Iron Country, the Admiral Army. Akira Yagyu thought for a moment, turned her head, and ordered Kizaru, who had been doing nothing. Kizaru, who had been bored, immediately recovered when he heard Akira Yagyu call him. I understand. 8-foot mirror. Leaving a sentence, several golden mirrors appeared in the room instantly, and then Kizaru directly turned into golden light, and the light of, on the mirror was quickly refracted, and Kizaru's figure disappeared in the blink of an eye. After about a breath, the golden light flashed again and rushed towards Akira Yagyu. Cough, cough, you are really heavy. Advertisement. The golden light dissipated, and Kizaru's wretched voice came from the side, and a samurai appeared in front of Akira Yagyu. Your Highness, this is the Iron Country, Admiral, for a long time. When Kitano Ichiro saw that he was breathing, Admiral of the Iron Kingdom appeared in the room and immediately explained to Akira Yagyu. Okay. Mifune was also stunned for a moment. He didn't react, and looked around blankly. When his eyes fell on Akira Yagyu, his pupils suddenly shrank. Lord Yagyu, when am I? Seeing Akira Yagyu sitting in front of him, Mifune immediately asked strangely. He clearly didn't feel anything just now, he just heard someone say that he saw His Highness, and then his eyes flickered, and when he reacted, he appeared in front of Yagyu. This made him stunned. He knew very well how his own strength could be suddenly brought to Akira Yagyu. The Iron Country is a neutral country, but the leader of a country suddenly came to me. I don't know why. Akira Yagyu saw the 3 ships in front. Although he knew that this guy would come sooner or later, he still frowned slightly, and then the shore outfit asked suspiciously. Sorry, it is indeed a bit abrupt to visit suddenly, but I have often heard about the Lord recently, so I am very curious. Mifune said apologetically, then explained, and then his eyes quickly looked for something. When he saw Kitano Ichiro, he paused, then looked elsewhere. His Royal Highness Yagyu, it has always been rumored that the characters in His Royal Highness's hands are very powerful, and there is even a guy with a bamboo pole, who can resist A-level ninjutsu, and can easily kill Jonin. I came here specially, hoping to be able to let's learn from the samurai under your excellency. Mifune said that his face became more and more solemn. He had always heard rumors about Virgo from the Land of Water, and even the famous name of the Land of Water once wrote a letter to question him, which made him confused and wanted to find out what the people under Akira Yagyu's hands are all about. Of course, if you can get the secret of the strong physical fitness of those under his command from Lu Chengming, it will greatly improve the strength of the Iron Nation. Although the Iron Nation has always been a neutral power, every time every country when there is a war between them, the Iron country will still be passively involved. Advertisement. Do you want to fight Virgo? Akira Yagyu smiled, meaning something unclear. Virgo, I'm not here now, is that so? It just so happens that Kitano also came from your country of iron. You might as well have a discussion with him, so as to see how his strength has improved. Akira Yagyu knocked on the table, and then looked at Ichiro Kitano next to him. He just noticed the change of meaning of Mifune when he saw Ichiro Kitano. He knew in his heart that Ichiro Kitano might have something to do with these 3 ships. Otherwise, his 3 ships were in the country of iron. Status in this world, should not come here in person. Your Highness, Kitano Ichiro was shocked when he heard Akira Yagyu's words, and knelt down quickly, trying to explain, but was stopped by Akira Yagyu's wave. His Royal Highness Yagyu said that, then I will learn from this former student. Mifune nodded, and was not disgusted by Akira Yagyu's proposal, but seeing that Kitano Ichiro was eager to explain, he didn't want to embarrass Kitano Ichiro, and directly stated the relationship between the two. Kitano Ichiro raised his head and saw that Akira Yagyu did not seem to be pursuing his relationship with the Iron Country, nodded silently, and then got up and turned to Mifune. The Admiral Army is sorry, but it is a matter of His Highness's face, and I will not stay here. Kitano Ichiro bowed his hands and faced this teacher he used to respect. The promise Kitano Ichiro said sternly. This is the best, let me also see what kind of means His Highness Yagyu has to hand over a kuchiki like you and make it into a piece of rough jade. Mifune's eyes jumped, and he quickly took out his saber from his waist and looked forward with a serious look in both hands. This is the spirit of a samurai, even if you are sure of winning against the opponent, you must face it with all your strength. Take out your weapons. As a samurai, you don't even have your own weapons by your side, so you won't be able to protect your master. Mifune looked at Ichiro Kitano and said a word, but noticed that Ichiro Kitano didn't even have a weapon on his body, and immediately scolded him in a low voice, although he didn't look down on Ichiro Kitano, but as Kitano Ichiro's former mentor, he looked at Kitano Ichiro. Ichiro didn't even have a weapon, so he was still very angry. Dog, Chapter 103A Proposal for Cooperation between the 3 ships of the Iron Country. In the face of Mifune's anger, Kitano Ichiro's expression also changed. Judging from his appearance, he should have been punished a lot under Mifune. I saw Kitano Ichiro's hands immediately turned into sharp knives, his footsteps turned into an afterimage at the place where he was standing, and he rushed towards Mifune. Cut. It's a lot faster. Looking at the afterimage left by Ichiro Kitano, Mifune's eyes narrowed, as if he was very surprised that Ichiro Kitano could still improve, but what shocked him even more was Ichiro Kitano's hands that suddenly turned into sharp blades. He had taught Ichiro Kitano and knew that this guy was not the material to become a ninja, so how could he suddenly be able to do this? Could it be true that what Akira Yagyu said about op fruit before? The Budo tournament mentioned by Akira Yagyu. Ichiro Kitano didn't care what Mifune was thinking at the moment, he quickened his pace, and after a flash of flashes, he suddenly attacked Mifune's right side, directly under his arm, and his arms were sharpened towards Mifune's ribs, and his attacking moves were just as he had planned ahead of time. As promised, without leaving the slightest effort. In the face of Kitano Ichiro, who was advancing by leaps and bounds, Mifune's eyes suddenly became more and more solemn, and even chakra was transferred to his limbs by Yuno 90, and then his body suddenly retreated, holding the long knife in both hands to quickly return to defense. Kang. Pot. With 2 slight metallic clashing sounds, Ichiro Kitano's attack was easily blocked by Mifune. The speed is good, but the strength is not enough. Mifune took a lesson in tone, turned his wrist, forced Kitano Ichiro back, the long knife seemed to have turned into a long dragon, and immediately bit towards Kitano Ichiro's chest, also showing no mercy. Humph. Paper arts. Facing Mifune's offensive, Kitano Ichiro's expression froze, he snorted coldly, his body twisted at an incredible angle, just dodging Mifune's attack. Advertisement. What? Mifune looked at Kitano Ichiro's method of evading his own attack, and his eyes suddenly narrowed, trying to observe, trying to find out what was the reason for Kitano Ichiro to do this. Kitano Ichiro didn't intend to let go of the opportunity to dodge this attack, and while avoiding, one leg quickly turned into a knife, AFBD, blade and kicked up, without hesitation, he slammed into Mifune's stabbing blade. Kang. There was another whisper. Mifune's attack was blocked, and Kitano Ichiro's other leg also turned into a blade state, followed by Shinlai. Kang. Pot. Lithium. Pot. Kitano Ichiro's limbs were all turned into sharp blades that could be attacked. Every movement was a series of blows, and every sound made a string of sparks. Every time Kitano Ichiro's attack seemed to be detected by Mifune and easily blocked. Wow. It seemed that he finally figured out the strength of Ichiro Kitano now, and Mifune did not continue to consume Ichiro Kitano anymore. He seized the opportunity and took advantage of Ichiro Kitano's one shot to miss. Mifune quickly retracted the knife. Cut together. Afterwards, the three boats slid forward in an arc at such a fast speed that Akira Yagyu's eyes narrowed, and Kitano Ichiro couldn't escape, he could only curl up. Hey! The arc light hit Ichiro Kitano's arms, and the powerful force directly knocked Ichiro Kitano's body upside down and smashed through the wall in the distance. Mifune-san wants to know. Would you like to go back to Carden Island with me? Your Highness Yagyu, don't humiliate me, I am really ashamed to be able to improve Kitano's training so quickly in such a short period of time. Advertisement. Now is an extraordinary period. Although the Iron Country is a neutral country, it does not mean that other countries will not do anything to the Iron Country. If there is enough interest, no one cares whether you are a neutral country or not. Mifune knows the surrounding countries very well. Big name idea. Noisy. This guy is very strong, he should be able to fight Mr. Zephyr. Often abused by Crocodile, Kitano Ichiro's physical strength has been improved a lot, coupled with the strengthening of the body by the quick-cut fruit. Kitano Ichiro did not receive too much injury, blood spilled from the corner of his mouth, came to Akira Yagyu and said in shame. It would be really weird if you could really beat him. Akira Yagyu replied, keeping his eyes on Mifune. When the guy released Ai-Zan just now, he would never have noticed it without observation hockey. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. I won't go to Carden Island, but I think we can talk about a cooperation. As expected of the strongest samurai, even against the cage-level powerhouses in the village, I'm afraid he won't be defeated. Akira Yagyu's eyes jumped, and Mifune invited him. Mifune frowned, looked at Akira Yagyu, and suddenly hesitated. After all, he is the leader of the Iron Country, and he never mentioned it to anyone when he came here. This is already a big risk. Going to Caden Island to toss for a few days, I am afraid that I will be regarded as missing like third cage, and the Iron Country will be in chaos. To Carden Island, Kizaru on the side, under the orange eyes, looked at Mifune with green bean-like eyes, and kept saying in a wretched tone. Now he can be sure that Kitano Ichiro's strength can increase so quickly, and it must have something to do with His Royal Highness the Lord. Now he has planned to see if he can ask Akira Yagyu how to improve Kitano's strength. Sorry, Your Highness. Hearing Akira Yagyu's words, Mifune also put the long sword Kurosawa in the scabbard, and said kindly. Akira Yagyu looked at Mifune, and suddenly said, looking at Mifune, thinking of the country of the samurai, the country of iron, Akira Yagyu suddenly fell into thinking, although the Marines he recruited through the Marine barracks have serious military discipline, and their physical fitness is beyond ordinary people, but after all are an ordinary Marine. If you can arm the top warriors of the Iron Country into Marines, then you will be able to fight even if you face the Ninja Coalition. Chapter 104 The Three Ships That Were Counted. Cooperate. Akira Yagyu raised his head and looked at Mifune with interest. He already knew roughly what the cooperation that Mifune mentioned would be, but he was still confirming it. That's right, your lord should know the purpose of my coming here, and I'm no longer in the Kabuto circle. There are rumors between countries now, Lord Yagyu has top warriors here, and many people even think that this is a conspiracy of my country of iron. Mifune looked at Akira Yagyu and immediately said with a wry smile. Several people looked at the three boats with a wry smile, but didn't speak. Akira Yagyu even thought they didn't see it. Who made this a long time ago that Akira Yagyu had considered, when he sent Crocodile and Virgo to fight, it was just for the sake of others. Attention has shifted to the country of iron and the country of the wind. Today, I came to the land of water. No, it is the holy land of the world government. Finally, I met Your Excellency Yagyu and the brave generals under Your Excellency. I have an idea of cooperation. I hope Your Excellency can share the method to improve the strength of the samurai, especially the kind of secret art that can make people use the body to resist ninjutsu. Seeing that Akira Yagyu didn't answer, Mifune thought for a while and continued. Noisy, it's kind of interesting. Looking at Mifune, Kizaru shouted, his face was funny and wretched. Looking at Mifune, his brows were furrowed. He heard Kizaru's voice. If he guessed correctly, it should be this guy who brought him to Akira Yagyu. Do you want to learn the secret art? This is not a big problem, but our Marine Academy is on Carden Island, and it may be that Your Excellency Mifune will come over in person. Akira Yagyu raised her eyebrows, looked at Mifune, thought for a moment, and said seriously. Advertisement. Do you have to go to Carden Island? Mifune was hesitant again. He didn't understand why Akira Yagyu left everything on Caden Island as a holy place. Although he really wanted to go now, he had said before that he couldn't go to Caden Island at all. Of course, if you can't go now, you can only wait until later. We can still talk about cooperation, provided Your Excellency the Kingdom of Iron can show enough sincerity. Akira Yagyu saw Mifune's embarrassment and smiled. He didn't ask for what the strongman asked. Now Suru and Zephyr are not here. If Kayabun alone can defeat this guy, it is estimated that this guy will commit suicide by then. Instead of going to Cardon Island, it is better to wait for him to go there. Although Akira Yagyu is obsessed with the elite warriors of the Iron Country, he can only respect the choice of the 3 ships, but Akira Yagyu can be sure that if he really chooses to cooperate and form an alliance, the 3 ships in all countries will definitely choose Catan Island, and this it's also the reason why Akira Yagyu doesn't keep insisting. Thank you, Your Highness Yagyu, for understanding. When I return to the Iron Country and deal with domestic affairs, I will definitely go to Catan Island to apologize. Hearing that there was a proof that he didn't force himself, Mifune was relieved immediately, and at the same time he wondered, could it be that Akira Yagyu had always wanted him to go to Catan Island before, and didn't intend to harm himself? Maybe he thought too much. Mifune, after thinking about it for a while, I thought to myself. Akira Yagyu didn't know what Mifune was thinking now, so he just took out a phone bug and threw it to Mifune. With a sigh, the propaganda sighed inwardly, and waited until the 3 figures completely disappeared from sight before turning around and leaving. Akira Yagyu looked at the front with dark eyes, and said word by word, every time he stepped on each stone slab, he made a thumping sound, and the frequency was fast and slow, making people a little elusive. If it weren't for the fact that his own strength was too much stronger than Kitano Ichiro, he might have really capsized in the gutter. As for the other guy with the vulgar appearance, he still doesn't understand how he was brought here by that guy. Telephone bug. My personal number is engraved on it. You can contact me directly through it when the time comes. The Marine Academy in Cardon Island welcomes your presence at any time. I still have something to do, so I won't entertain Your Excellency Mifune. Your Excellency, please do it yourself. Cardon Island has now established a world government, and has a military capability comparable to that of any other country. He knows that if he wants to get that method, he can only cooperate with Akira Yagyu, and this kind of cooperation cannot be known to other countries. Thinking of this, Mifune suddenly felt as if Akira Yagyu had begun to lead her by the nose. Advertisement. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. In fact, when he came, it wasn't that he didn't think about hijacking Akira Yagyu, threatening him with the method to improve people's physical fitness, but after seeing Kizaru, he completely dismissed the idea. I can't kill him for the time being. Do you really think that no one knows that he came to us? When the time comes, the samurai in the Iron Country will definitely end up with us, our firepower weapons. Although it is powerful, if we can really turn the elite warriors of the Iron Country into our soldiers, then we will no longer be passive in the face of ninjas from other countries. Akira Yagyu said lightly, then got up and left. Ichiro Kitano and Kizaru were following behind and had to step up, or they would all be thrown off by Akira Yagyu. Factory. Lord of Cardon Island. Alas. For more than 10 years, the balance between countries has finally been broken again, and it seems that the war is not far away. Mifune saw that Akira Yagyu gave him something, and immediately took it with his hand. He looked down and saw a huge snail in his hand, and immediately asked strangely. Kizaru followed Akira Yagyu, looked at Akira Yagyu's back, and suddenly muttered something strange. Look at Akira Yagyu. The back of Kizaru and Ichiro Kitano left. Mifune's expression was a little complicated, especially the battle with Ichiro Kitano just now. If he didn't experience it himself, he would never believe that the student he valued the least had already made such great progress. His Royal Highness, I was able to kill that guy just now, why didn't you let me kill him? What's this? Chapter 105 Thunder Fruit. On Catan Island, the residents of Hygeia City are not particularly aware of what Akira Yagyu did in the capital. Even if they did, they would not be too shocked, because all of this was related to their lord. Relationship. Facing the cool sea breeze, fishermen continue to go out to sea. Although this is the main base of Akira Yagyu, the people of Catan Island have not changed much and are still doing what they used to do. Since those big guys appeared, large-scale fish schools have never been seen in the surrounding waters, and they have to run far away every time they fish. A fisherman pulled up an empty net, looked at the sea kings with a head sticking out in the distance, and said with a sigh. What? Disgusted. Now the country of the sea, the country of 093, Wells and many other surrounding countries are now the Lord's territory. If you don't want to stay on Cardon Island, you can directly move to other places. As soon as the fisherman's voice fell, the boat boss said immediately, with a teasing tone in his tone. Hey, when I didn't say it, after all, my children are still in Marine College, maybe I will be the father of the future school official. The fishermen's boats in 2s and 3s kept leaving the pier, and the people on the fishing boats chatted softly. Your Highness, Cardon Island has arrived. Kitano Ichiro put down the observation mirror, then came to Akira Yagyu and said respectfully. Finally arrived, our Cardon Island looks comfortable. Akira Yagyu stood up on the deck chair, and then saw Catan Island, which was approaching, stretched again, and said comfortably. After finishing the matter on the main island of the Water Kingdom, which will be renamed the Holy Land in the future, Akira Yagyu brought Kizaru and the others back without staying too long, causing many people who wanted to visit Akira Yagyu to rush. Empty. Although Akira Yagyu did not arrange for someone to remind them deliberately, there are still many people from Catan Island who have received news. At this moment, many people from Kaden Island have gathered at the port. They formed their own teams and saw the fleet coming in front of them. Shout right away, Your Highness, advertisement. Your Highness, Your Highness. Although the chanting of the people of Hygeia City was not as loud as Akira Yagyu's in the Holy Land Square at that time, the enthusiasm couldn't keep up with the people there. Facing the shouts of the people of Hygeia City, Akira Yagyu slowly walked down the deck, surrounded by Marines, and came directly to the Marine Scientific Research Center. Virgo, how are you preparing now? Seeing Virgo, who was with Geisa and Lyle in front of him, Akira Yagyu asked with a frown. Well, Your Highness, you are back. Hearing the voice, he raised his head and saw Akira Yagyu at the door, and the three of them immediately greeted him. His Royal Highness. In addition to the previous 18 sea kings, after passing through the country of the sea and the sea, and continuing to go deep into the sea to the east, during this period of time, 25 giant sea beasts were brought back, and they were successfully maximized. At present, we have a total of more than 500 meters because of 30 sea kings and 13-kilometer level super large sea kings. After Virgo came to Akira Yagyu, he replied solemnly. Hearing that Virgo had collected so many sea beasts in a short period of time, Kitano Ichiro's eyes widened. Because Kitano was no longer there before, so I took Chunin from Kurigakure with Ching and dozens of them. They have more chakra in their bodies, and those sea beasts seem to like it more. As if seeing the doubts in the eyes of several people, he immediately explained in a deep voice. Forehead. Kitano Ichiro was stunned for a moment, feeling that this guy thought he was inferior to others as a bait, which made Kitano Ichiro, who had just been taught a lesson by Mifune, even more shocked. A total of 43. Advertisement. 43 giant sea kings are enough to dominate the entire sea here, but after hearing Virgo's report, Akira Yagyu frowned, and seemed a little dissatisfied with this number. Virgo, in the past month, you have expanded your fleet to continue to capture giant alien beasts in the sea. If alien beasts are found on land, all the residents of the strange island in the country of the sea will be dismissed, and the alien beasts on land will be caught. Captive on a strange island, transfer a few sea kings there to guard 0. After pondering, Yagyu took out another devil fruit, which was the thunder fruit rewarded by the task he completed before. Your Highness is this. Virgo looked at the devil fruit in Akira Yagyu's hand, obviously wanting to give it to himself, and immediately asked suspiciously, a person like him who has awakened a 2-color Haki and has reached the elite Vice Admiral's strength, generally no longer eat devil fruit again, unless this devil fruit has a very strong ability. Natural is thunder fruit, so it should be useful if you eat it. For this Virgo who has been following him, Akira Yagyu will not treat him badly, and the thunder fruit in his hand at present, Virgo should be the most suitable. Meanwhile, Akira Yagyu's subconscious has once again fallen into Marine Mall. After some searching, his eyes fell on one of the products. Shunzhou Proverbs. A giant ship made of countless gold can fly with enough energy. 1.3 exchange requirements. 100.000.000.000 minus 100 billion taels. No, it's too expensive. Looking at the huge golden ship in the mall, and after scanning the item information and prices behind, Akira Yagyu finally shook his head and gave up the idea. If he bought it, his funds would have shrunk by half. He doesn't plan to conquer the moon for the time being, and it's a bit tasteless to ask for this thing. Before, he lamented Akira Yagyu, who the system had given him precise poverty alleviation, and realized his poverty again. Hongzhou Island, when my martial arts conference is finished, you will be the first to solve it. Thinking of the island country of Hongzhou right next to him, Akira Yagyu thought of those wealthy businessmen, and it was a burst of anticipation.